football game. The place, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, birthplace of the Constitution and home of the Liberty Bell. And now, the Liberty Bowl. The first year, Rip Engels' Nittany Lions used a fake field goal to score a touchdown and beat Bear Bryant's Crimson Tide 7-0. In 1962, just 10 days after winning the Heisman Trophy, Terry Baker made one of the most celebrated runs in bowl history. This 99-yard touchdown scamper was the game's only score in a 6-0 Oregon State victory. 3 years later, the Liberty Bowl found a permanent home right here in Memphis, Tennessee. And in 1982, Paul Bryant coached his last game here. Following Alabama's victory over Illinois, the Bear was carried off the field triumphantly, retiring as the winningest coach in college football history. Then in 1984, All-American running back Bo Jackson burst 39 yards for a fourth-quarter touchdown as Auburn beat Arkansas 21-15. And last year, John Casey, Georgia's backup kicker, became a hero when his field goal on the final play of the game gave the Dogs a comeback win over Arkansas. Tonight, it's the 30th anniversary of the Liberty Bowl football game. Proudly presents the 1988 Liberty Bowl. Tonight's game is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV. By Budweiser, Beechwood Aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the Beef Industry Council and Beef Board, beef, real food for real people. And by Federal Express with worldwide service to over 100 countries. Frigid temperatures tonight at Liberty Bowl Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee for the 30th renewal of the Liberty Bowl, the Indiana Hoosiers and the Gamecocks of South Carolina. The Grand Dame of the Bluffs, Memphis, Tennessee, will tonight play host to what is certain to be quite a party as we all celebrate the 30th birthday of this Liberty Bowl extravaganza. Well, a very pleasant good evening to you, everybody. I'm Phil Stone. Tonight we have two football teams with very dissimilar styles. Both have outstanding coaches. Indiana's Bill Mallory, for South Carolina, Joe Morrison. But believe me, that is where the similarity ends. Working with me tonight on the telecast, an old friend, a man who spent 13 years toiling in the NFL, and he still has some sense left, Dave Rowe. And Dave, when you talk about the Indiana offense, you can sum it up in 2 words.
You certainly can, Phil, and that's Anthony Thompson. Big Ten Player of the Year, averages over 30 carries per game. 1,500 yards rushing. He had 9 games this season over 100 yards. That's unbelievable.
You know, Dave, for the South Carolina Gamecocks, this is a ball club that has some of the loftiest peaks here in 1988, but also for Joe Morrison, what must have seemed like some endless lows.
Well, it certainly did. They got off to such a great start, 6-0. And Todd Ellis, he is the leader of this team. As he goes, so go the Gamecocks. He is a great person if he gets started real fast, and that's what they're hoping. They want him to complete 4 or 5 quick passes and get warm and get ready to go, and he'll have a great day. Question
is, can South Carolina stay close to the fast-starting Hoosiers of Indiana? The 30th annual Liberty Bowl, just moments away here at Liberty Bowl Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee.
You might expect a guy who flies a jet like this to drive.
He's here at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee. Right now, let's go to public address announcer Tom Prestigiacomo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Liberty Bowl is proud to present former Metropolitan Opera star, Miss Marguerite Piazza. Would you please stand and join Miss Piazza as for the 22nd time at the Liberty Bowl, she sings our national anthem.
30th Annual Liberty Bowl. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
Spirit, no more. Can't we make a deal?
Did somebody say deal?
5 degrees, but you take a look at that wind out of the north at 10 miles an hour, and the wind chill is a breezy 24 degrees. We're feeling it. Well, Dave, you've had a chance to take a look at the Indiana Hoosiers for the last couple of days. If you were to advise an NFL team what to look for, what would your scouting report say?
Well, certainly the key players are Thompson and Joe Huff. Joe Huff on his defense because he's the blitzer out there. He's got 9 sacks. The strength of their team is their ball control. They have 19 drives over 70 yards for touchdowns. 3rd and 4th down conversions, they converted 53% of them. If they have a weakness, Phil, it's quarterback pressure. They have not been able to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback unless they blitz a linebacker or safety, and kick coverage. The average return against them is 9 yards on the punt and almost 19 yards on the kickoff.
And, of course, for South Carolina, I know you had a chance to look at Joe Morrison's ball club, the Gamecocks. They finished the regular season with a record of 8-3, and I suppose Todd Ellis would be one of the strong suits there.
Well, he certainly is. He's one of the key players. As he goes, so go the South Carolina Gamecocks. He's got 8,500 yards passing. Ray Bune should play a big part on this game, too, because he is the #1 tackler. Very quick reaction to the ball from his strong safety position. Their strength are kick returns, and that's an interesting matchup with Indiana. Their offensive line, they have given Ellis a lot of time to throw. Only 14 sacks this season. If they have a weakness, it's probably in the size of their defensive line. They will be outweighed by about 30, 35 pounds a man, and they've thrown too many interceptions so far this season.
Well, for the Indiana Hoosiers, their road to the Liberty Bowl began way back on September 10th. The place, Rice Stadium. In their first game of the year, they knocked off Rice 41-14. Indiana playing their first 3 of their first 4 games on the road and came away 3 victories, no losses, and 1 tie in those first 4 games.
Well, you can't ask for a better start than that. And there you see the tail end of their season when they came back, and they didn't finish, well, they did finish strong against Purdue. They had that tough loss to Michigan State, but finished on a real strong note over the Boilermakers of Purdue.
And, of course, for South Carolina, what a schedule. Tell you what, when Joe Morrison met with his team the last part of the summer, I'm certain he had every one of his team members clicking their heels together in the locker room saying there's no place like home. Well, they started the season with 5 straight home games.
They certainly did, and they came out with 5 victories, and really their season turned around at that top game there, Georgia Tech, when they just got demolished on that game. Then they came back and beat State, and then Florida State was just an unemotional game for them. They seesawed, but they lost to Clemson, and that's their big nemesis in South Carolina. But they're a fine football team, a very young football team. They've got a lot of people that are going to be back next year.
We are set to go. The Hoosiers of Indiana will kick it away. And when you talk about the kicking game for Indiana, Pete Stoyanovich, the senior from Dearborn Heights, Michigan, a sensational kicker. And on the other side, South Carolina with a pretty fair kicker of their own, a sophomore by the name of Colin Mackey. And Dave, we talk all we want about Anthony Thompson of Indiana, Todd Ellis of South Carolina. This ball game may come down to who has the best foot.
Well, we saw that last year in this football game. Came down to, what, 12 seconds left, and the big kick that they came through with last year. Georgia came through to win that football game.
In fact, the youngster that did it, a backup kicker for the Bulldogs by the name of John Casey from Athens, Georgia.
And watch out for those 2 gentlemen in your screen, because both of them have just got devastating speed. They get outside that wall, they can go up the sideline in a hurry.
Stoyanovich is set, and we are just seconds away from the 30th renewal of the Liberty Bowl. Robert Brooks and Gerald Williams, the deep men for South Carolina, at their own 5-yard line. And Stoyanovich will let it sail with a 10-mile-an-hour wind that is back. It'll be taken at the 3-yard line. That is Robert Brooks, and he can fly. Across the 45-yard line and down there.
How's that for field position? Great field position for South Carolina.
Todd Ellis. Here he comes, the junior quarterback from Greensboro, North Carolina. And how in the world did he ever get out of Tar Heel country? Ellis at quarterback, the guy to watch, Harold Green. He is finally healthy, and the man who just returned that kickoff, Robert Brooks. The offensive line, it is a veteran offensive line. From the I formation. Green. Indiana stiffs it out, and Green is going down at the 33. Dan Bauer, the nose tackle, with help from Joe Huff, the senior outside linebacker on the left side. A loss of 10. And Indiana defensively, boy, what a group. Harris, Bauer, Sklareth, all seniors. The linebacking core, all seniors. The defensive secondary, 3 of 4 are seniors. They've been around.
Well, they certainly have. And you saw those statistics up there on sacks. The two big sackers are Joe Huff and Mark Ferry.
2nd and 21. Ellis rolling left. He'll not have time, and down he goes. Doug Sklareth, his 2nd sack of the year. He's a converted offensive guard out of Biddeford, Maine.
The quarterback right behind the line.
Al Dave for South Carolina to have a chance at winning their first bowl game ever. What must they do?
Well, they have to have a quick start by Todd Ellis. They have not had that so far. They have got to be able to control Thompson on the ground and not allow Indiana to dictate the tempo of the game. Indiana drives the football a long distance.
3rd down and 29. Delayed draw. That's Green again. He's out across the 37-yard line. Never even made it close to the original line of scrimmage. Mark Ferry, the strong safety, brings him down, a gain of 11. But the Gamecocks are going to have to put the ball in the air. And in comes punter Rodney Price. Boy, Price, you talk about getting a lot of work. This will be his 60th punt of the year. And he has not had one blocked all season. Plenty of time. Spiraling punt taken at the 23-yard line. Buford. And down he goes at the 22. A flag is down. Hold everything.
Well, that almost assuredly, Phil, is going to be the block in the back, the low block in the back, and it's going to take Indiana. I mean, it just put them way back in their own field territory. They'll be inside the 20-yard line with this play. There it is. That's a signed clip.
Well, they'll walk it off. It'll be a big one. So instead of taking the ball at their own 22-yard line, Indiana will begin from their 12. Offensively, here comes Dave Schnell, the senior quarterback from Elkhart, Indiana. He's a good passer, 53% completion rate. Got a couple of pretty fair fellows to throw to. Anthony Thompson, you'll see him carry the ball about 30 times tonight. The offensive line, everybody there, seniors. And look at that average weight, 273 pounds. Indiana from the I. Near side. Who else? There goes Anthony Thompson.
Bill, once he breaks through the line, it's unbelievable. See all the men up for South Carolina. They're gambling that they can plug the hole. Now he makes a nice move, cuts back against his running back. Right there, avoids a tackle. Now it's off to the races. If he had the great speed, he'd never be caught. I'll tell you one thing. He got off to a great start, though, right there. Good move for Indiana.
A 48-yard gain to the Gamecock 41-yard line. Again, the Hoosiers from the I. Schnell wants to put it up. He's got a receiver at the 35-yard line. Tim Jordan is tied in. 6'3", 235-pound senior. South Carolina, the defensive line, it's a good one. The linebacking core, they play a 5-2 for the most part. Hinton with 46 tackles and 3 sacks. In the defensive secondary belongs to Ron Rebune. Rebune, the free safety. He is the #1 tackler on South Carolina. 2nd down and 4. Thompson again, this time pounding his way down to the 30. Now let's take a look at the Budweiser team musts for Indiana. David?
Well, Phil, they have got to control the line of scrimmage, and I think they're doing that so far. Pressure Todd Ellis. They haven't had, well, they got the 1 sack on him early, and they have to win the kicking game. But they, believe me, they are controlling the line of scrimmage. They have got a lot bigger people up front than what South Carolina has. So South Carolina will have to gamble a lot and shoot those linebackers through in blitz.
fullback carrying the ball. He's starting this ball game in place of Cal Miller. He was a late starter, just getting to work a couple of moments before game time. Boyd, number 30, the senior from Zionsville, Indiana. Northwest Indianapolis, second down now. And 3, the ball on the 23-yard line of South Carolina. Thompson tripped up in the backfield, stopped right about at the line of scrimmage, a gain of 1.
And Phil, one of the things that Indiana is doing right now is they are spreading out South Carolina. There's a lot of distance in between the nose tackle and the 2 defensive ends. It looks like it's about a mile in there, especially if you're playing that nose tackle. You look right and left and see that distance.
Third down and 2 from the 22-yard line. Gamecocks jump, flags are down. Anthony Thompson has the first down near the 19-yard line.
And that flag almost assuredly is going to be Schnell drawing the defense off sides with that cadence count. Here's the call.
Offside, South Carolina.
And a personal foul on South Carolina also. That was a double flag on that play. There was an offsides, as we saw earlier. Then he called personal foul against South Carolina.
Referee is Tom Thammert. Personal foul, South Carolina. Offside, South Carolina. So that'll move the ball just inside the 10. It'll be first down and goal, Indiana.
Now there's the personal foul. You see the spear in there on the tackle. That's what the official called as the personal foul. Using the head as a weapon is what the call is.
Wide to the left, Darrell Eddings. That's the fullback, Gene Boyd. Only had 13 carries all year. He has 2 tonight. He gains 2 down near the Gamecock 7.
And Phil, this is where that big line comes into advantage there for Indianapolis. You see 273-pound line average. There's a good fill there by the linebacker. See right there, Boyd tried to make that cut back into the hole. Good play against South Carolina to come back into that hole and fill that hole. It was there for a second.
Second down and goal from the 7-yard line. Anthony Thompson, touchdown Indiana. Thompson exploding in behind Don Schrader and Jeff Pryor.
And Phil, once you make that decision that you're going to get up on that line and you're going to try to blitz and fill those holes, if they split the defense like Indiana did that time, if they're able to split them, then he's just clear sailing right into the secondary because you don't have your linebackers there. And you're right, a big block there by Don Schrader.
Stojanovic, 103 consecutive point afters, making 104, and that is a Big Ten record.
Now watch, you'll see all the black shirts up on the line. See everybody filling up there. Now once they split right there, it's just a walk into the end zone.
9:23 remaining in the first quarter. The Hoosiers 7-0.
The drive is on. Mazda's year-end sales drive.
And here he's the plow type runner, strong legs, big squat man in weightlifting, 600 pounds. You can see he uses that just to jump through the hole, but no one touched him. The reason being is that South Carolina plays that gambling defense where they're right up on the line. They try to shoot through, plug up the holes, and you can see right there an 8-play drive. Of course, it was capsulated by that big run by Thompson, but again, 88-yard drive.
20th time this year the Hoosiers have gone more than 70 yards for a touchdown. That is some kind of statistic. For Anthony Thompson, his 25th rushing touchdown this year.
Well, you know, when you look at Anthony Thompson, you say, well, he's a great back, and there's no doubt about it, but he works hard. I want to tell you what they told me. They said that he bench presses over 400 pounds. He squats over 600 pounds. He's one of the strongest players on this football team, and you only get that strength by hard work. The SID for Indiana said he is absolutely a dream to have on your football team. Quite a young man.
Now the Hoosiers on their first offensive possession march at 88 yards and take a 7-0 lead over South Carolina, and that has certainly been the trademark of Indiana this year. They have been a very fast starting team.
Oh boy, when you look at the way they have scored in the first 2 periods, they've scored 190 points in the first half of the ball games this year.
Stojanovic booted away as the ball falls off the tee. We've got a pretty good wind blowing here at Liberty Stadium. Out of the north, 10 to 15 miles an hour. Chill factor now has to be dipping down around 22, maybe 20 degrees at this point. You can bet Stojanovic is going to try and keep it away from number 49, Robert Brooks. The freshman sensation returned the opening kickoff 43 yards. Stojanovic lets it fly. And it'll be Brooks at the 10-yard line. Runs into his own interference and is slashed down at the 25, a return of 15 yards. Chris McCoy on the tackle with help from Mike Larson. Now South Carolina's bowl history, take a look. They have been involved in postseason action 7 times in the past, dating back to 1946, still looking for their first win.
Well, they certainly are, and it's not because they're not a good football team. They have played some excellent games and excellent teams in that storied history there, but you look at it, 0-7.
Snell. He's got it complete. Harold Green out of the backfield to the 35-yard line, very close to a first down. Andre Hall, the right corner on the stop.
And the one way that you stop a pass rush is to dump the ball short. This is a confidence builder for Ellis. What he does is he just finds that little slip screen out of the backfield. Now if linemen need to get downfield, pick up that block, again, he cuts back underneath, but this is a confidence builder. This is what South Carolina wants to do. They want to get Green the football. They want to be able to build the confidence of Todd Ellis as this game progresses.
Now Todd Ellis, he is a good one, being heralded already as a possible candidate for the 1989 Heisman Trophy. Near side, it's Green again, turns it up across the 37, has his ankles cut out from under him out near the 39, a gain of 4. Harold Green, what a running back. Tailback out of Ladson, South Carolina. Here's a guy, Dave, who, had he stayed healthy this year, nobody knows what he might have accomplished.
Well, he had that bad ankle. You can see right there the good plant and back against it. Obviously, it's not bothering him in this game. He also had that bad thumb. Now, a lot of people think, well, you can play with a bad thumb, but with a running back, it's like playing with that hangnail. Every time you touch the ball, it hurts. He had that torn ligaments in that thumb earlier in the season.
Good point. Second down. Ellis's little flare. Incomplete, intended for Keith Bing, the senior fullback from Aiken, South Carolina.
And you know, the first thing flashed from my mind is, I hope that wasn't a lateral, because he didn't try to recover the football, but obviously you heard the whistle in the background. For a second there, I thought, and that may be one of their hot plays. When they see blitz, Ellis may be going out there, because they have some what they call hot plays. When you see that blitz, there are hot receivers that know immediately that he's going to throw the football to avoid that pressure.
They're down and 6 now from the 39-yard line. 8 minutes and 15 seconds to play. South Carolina now in the shotgun. Indiana showing blitz, and here they come. Throws it out again, and it is incomplete. Had Ellis got that ball to Harold Green, he might have taken it all the way.
Well, from the shotgun formation, it gives Ellis a little bit more time to read it. Now he finds it, and he just leads Green just a little bit too much and a little too low, just a little bit behind him. But look how open he was, as you mentioned, Phil. He was wide open down the sidelines.
Rodney Price, number 31, on to kick it away. He has not had a punt blocked all year. But for Indiana, Mike Dumas, he has been the special teams player. He has 3 blocked punts for the Hoosiers. Good spiraling punt. taken at the 20-yard line. Tony Buford. He's not going anywhere. Down at the 19. Good kick coverage following the 41-yard punt by Price. Clock stopped. 8:01 to play. First period in this 30th birthday from the Liberty Bowl in Memphis.
Football fans, get ready for the battle of the century.
Indiana Hoosiers out in front of the Gamecocks of South Carolina 7-0. These two coaches, Dave, have never met before, but Bill Mallory has beaten the Gamecocks on a couple of occasions.
Well, he has. He has taken his team and won. But they have played against each other. That was interesting to know in our luncheon here that Mallory said, hey, I chased Joe Morrison back in college, never caught him.
Of course, Bill Mallory took two Miami Redskin football teams into Columbia, South Carolina back in 1972 and 73 and whipped the Gamecocks twice. Schnell to let it fly. It is caught by Tony Buford. Buford, the senior from Aurora, Illinois, runs underneath it, and Schnell put it right on the money.
Well, when you've got your running game running well, then you can come up with passes, but you cannot throw the ball any better than this. Look at Buford just reach out there. It wasn't bad coverage. It was just an excellent pass. He just threw that ball just as well as you can throw that football. And Schnell doesn't get a lot of credit. He has 53% completions. He threw for almost 1,500 yards in the season, so he has good statistics also.
43-yard gain. Thompson ducks in behind his big offensive line to the 34-yard line. And boy, what an offensive line it is. All are seniors. Simons, Radke, Vargo, Don Schrader, and Jeff Fryer. I'll tell you what, Bill Mallory will have his work cut out for him in '89.
Well, he will have one back. Vargo is a senior, but he has junior eligibility, so the center will be back in the football game. But I tell you what a confidence booster that is for a quarterback to be able to come out here. Everybody has thrown the accolades to Anthony Thompson, and all of a sudden you come out and run that big pass play.
Thompson again. Tackled by Derek Little, the inside linebacker, senior from Athens, Georgia. Well, Indiana's bowl history, we showed you the Gamecocks 0-7 in postseason play. The Hoosiers, well, not a whole lot better. This is only their 5th trip into postseason play. Their only victory in 1979, the place San Diego, and what a victory it was over Mark Wilson's BYU Cougars, 38-37. Third down and 6. The ball at the South Carolina Gamecock 34. Schnell. Pass intended for Rob Turner. And Schnell off the mark. Boy, Turner, what a game he had against the Wolverines. 6 passes. Also had a couple of touchdown grabs against the Buckeyes of Ohio State.
Yeah, he's one of those old guys. He's a sophomore. You know, it's amazing how young players come in and play in this league. We're looking at a sophomore in Rob Turner. South Carolina has a freshman in Robert Brooks. So 2 great wide receivers.
Here's Mike Stoyanovich to attempt a 51-yard field goal. He has a 53-yarder with the wind at his back. He lets it go. And it ducks right in front of the crossbar. No good. Well, the clock stops with 6:11 to play. In the first period, the Hoosiers 7, the Gamecocks nothing. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
Winter in the Inland Empire. Deep snow.
61, the place, Philadelphia Stadium in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where George Myra and the Miami Hurricanes carried a 14-point lead into halftime against Syracuse in the 3rd Liberty Bowl. But Ernie Davis, the first black Heisman Trophy winner, led the Orangemen to a 15-14 come-from-behind victory. The Gamecock fans who have made the trek for Columbia are here in force. And right now it's the Hoosiers out in front of South Carolina 7-0. Boy, you talk about that game back in 1961, Dave. That has certainly been the trademark of these Liberty Bowl games. They have been very close and very, very exciting games. 10 of the last 11 decided by a touchdown or less. South Carolina with the football. 1st and 10. Harold Green hit behind the line of scrimmage. Fumbles the football. It'll be down, though. Whistle sounded before the ball popped loose. He moves the ball out just across the 35.
And Phil, I remember that 61 game. I was at that stadium, Philadelphia Stadium. I'll never forget it. Miami brought about 10 palm trees with them. They were frozen at halftime, 3 degrees. And I'll never forget, they came on back. The Syracuse came on back, scored a 2-point conversion and won, I believe, 15-14. What a game it was. And it certainly has come a long way in all those years.
Ernie Davis, one of 4 Heisman Trophy winners to play in past Liberty Bowls, took part in that game. Todd Ellis throws, almost intercepted. Pass intended for Keith Bing.
I'll tell you, they can't keep Schlereth out of there. 54 is putting a lot of pressure. You see him right in the middle there, putting a lot of pressure. Now look at this ball right here. Oh boy, Joe Huff had a chance at that football, and that would have been right down the sideline. That may be that ankle back again with Harold Green we talked about that he had been out earlier with, and you can see him limping on the sideline.
Oh, he had a knee, an ankle, torn ligaments in his right thumb. Oh, what a tough season for the junior from Ledson, South Carolina. 3rd down and 9. Ellis looking near side, throws. Had Robert Brooks and threw it behind him. And Brooks paid dearly. Eric Coleman, the senior from Harvey, Illinois, popped the freshman and popped him good.
Well, I can tell you why he didn't throw this football in well. Look who's right in his face. 54 is just plowing in there. You see Ellis fold down at the tail end of this. He had a chance at that football, but really, number 54, Doug Schlereth, putting a lot of pressure on Ellis. They had 2 men on him that time and still didn't stop him.
Rodney Price, his 3rd punt of the evening. His 62nd of the year. Pretty much a line drive taken by Buford at the 25. Tries the near side, turns it inside. Is banged down at the 28-yard line. A 43-yard punt. Clock stops. 5:09 to play in the first period. Indiana will have the football. They already have the lead.
Mazda's got a
favorite team and earn free NFL gear just for using it. Call 1-800-NFL-VISA today. Along with Dave Rowe, I'm Phil Stone. We welcome you to the 30th birthday party of the Liberty Bowl. 5:09 to play in the first period. Indiana out in front of South Carolina, 7-0. The Hoosiers with the football. Schnell rolling left, looking downfield. Pass is caught by Rob Turner at the 44-yard line. Gamecocks are screaming it's incomplete. Robert Robinson on the coverage. The completion will stand at the 45-yard line.
Well, you get a perfect angle of it here. Let's see if he did, in fact, bobble it. Right, there's the catch. Ooh, he might have gotten away with one there. It's a tough call there. That ball quickly, he had his hands underneath it and did bring it in. Referee, the official was right on the scene, called it a completion.
Well, Indiana has certainly been the recipient of the big plays on offense thus far here early in the first quarter. Thompson running in behind Radke and Chris Simons.
So one of the things that Indiana is trying to do is give that ball to Thompson a little bit deeper so that he can see where the hole is going to develop. They're saying, in fact, if South Carolina is going to blitz those linebackers and plug those holes, we'll just wait for those big linemen to make a seam and allow Thompson to find that seam and cut back against the grain and pick up the yardage.
Dave Schnell, the senior from Elkhart, Indiana, this time coming right. Pass intended for Gene Boyd, his fullback. Not close. Indiana, Dave, one of 5 Big Ten teams competing in postseason bowl competition this year.
Well, I think it showed the quality of the Big Ten this year. They had just an excellent season there. The Big Ten, of course, as you say, produced 5 bowl participants.
And what's interesting is these Hoosiers, the only Big Ten team to be favored. Indiana coming into this game tonight favored by 3, but Illinois, Iowa, Michigan State in the Gator Bowl, and of course Michigan in the Rose Bowl, all underdogs. Schnell going deep, looking for Rob Turner, and overthrew him.
Boy, that is one that Schnell would like to have back. Now watch Turner run away from the defensive secondary here. Now there's the break inside. Now he's got him, but the ball, you can see the ball is way overthrown. Schnell should have just taken a little bit more time. He wasn't pressured on that play. And he obviously had Rob Turner, just a sophomore out there, who's a burner.
This is Mackey Smith. His first punt of the ball game. He lets it go. High, spiraling punt. Fair catch called for at the 25-yard line. So Carl Flatt takes it in nicely, a 28-yard punt. Mackey Smith, not Indiana's regular punter this year. Tom Bullard, the junior punter, backup quarterback, dislocated a shoulder in the battle for the Old Oaken Bucket. Indiana and Purdue, and Bullard out for the year.
Well, I tell you, that has to hurt. You know you've got that bowl bid. You're going to come here. You're going to enjoy it. But what an opportunity for Mackey Smith to come in here. Only 4 punts coming into the game.
South Carolina with the football, down by 7. Ellis, play action. He's going down for the second time tonight. Doug Sklareth, second time this evening. He has sacked Todd Ellis.
Well, they cannot stop Sklareth. He is outside. He's number 54. You're going to see him coming from the outside. Look there. You'll see him. Now, that's 67. There he is, Sklareth again. Outside Ellis, no place to go. They have got to be able to control him. Sklareth is 6'3", about 255 pounds. Isn't he from Maine somewhere? Didn't you tell me that?
Biddeford, Maine, which is just about a 6-iron from Kennebunkport. It'll be the summer White House of incoming President George Bush. 3:13 remaining in the first period. Albert Haynes, not much. Brad Money, the inside linebacker on the right side, knocked them down. Haynes, a freshman from Hartford, Connecticut. Al Green has got that ankle taped. He's going to try and get back in this ball game. But what a tough year it has been for that young man.
Well, they really need him coming out of the backfield. He's caught 34 catches coming into this game, and he's a great swing man out of the backfield, allowing Ellis to find him when he gets that pressure.
3rd down and 18. Ellis looking downfield, pressured again, cuts to the outside. Now we'll backtrack, and he's going to go down once more. 3rd time in this ball game. Joe Huff and Jim Sams, the nose tackle, chased him everywhere and finally nailed him.
And Ellis tried to gather himself. He knew it was 3rd down. He had good vision downfield, and he tried to gather himself. He tried to get back where he could throw the football, but, well, watch here. All of a sudden, he's going to take off. Now, he's not a running quarterback. He's got good mobility, but now right here, he says, wait a minute, 3rd down and 18, but look at the pressure coming. They are just pouring in on him. And the interesting thing, it's only a 3-man rush. You've got to be able to stop that rush.
Rodney Price, 4th punt of the evening, taken by Buford at the 47. And back across the 45 and knocked off his feet at the 43. A 37-yard punt. Clock is stopped with 1:46 remaining in the first period.
Well, Phil, it's really important as we look at that 146. It's been all Hoosiers in this first quarter. South Carolina has got to gather their composure both on offense and defense. They are starting to get their composure back on defense. They played well the last 2 series, stopping Indiana. But they have got to get some kind of composure, and that young man, Todd Ellis, has got to be the one to do it.
Anthony Thompson across the 40 and across the 39. Well, Dave, normally when you hear the phrase, what a line, it's usually in response to something you've heard from Rodney Dangerfield or Henny Youngman. But when you hear that phrase around Bloomington, they know what you're talking about.
Well, they're talking about those big offensive linemen. A lot of these men have been back in the years when they started off, and I believe they're 0-11 their first year.
In 1984.
A lot of 5th-year seniors stayed around, had a lot of confidence in their head coach.
Not much. Cal Miller, number 34, the junior from Fort Wayne.
And that's how South Carolina again is getting that composure on defense. They also have to get it on offense. Now Schnell has got to be able to come up with a play here that's going to pick up about 6 yards. I would look for him to do some type of a roll action. He's run that back out of the backfield 3 or 4 times, and he's just overthrown him. Hey, is Elvis here, by the way?
I'll tell you, there's some folks who think so, and a lot of them. Out of the shotgun now, Indiana. South Carolina showing blitz, and they're coming. Schnell lets it go. It is caught by Thompson at the 30-yard line. A first down for the Hoosiers.
Bill, that's that back out of the backfield that we were talking about. Anthony Thompson swings out of the backfield. You'll see him. He's on the right of your left of your screen in the upper side. Now he's going to swing out of the backfield. As soon as he sees the linebackers, now he's open right there on about the 38-yard line, turns around, catches it. That's the play I was talking about. He's had him open 3 or 4 times, and he's overthrown him at least once or twice. That time he hit him for the big gain.
13-12, 11 seconds left in the first period. Indiana will get the final play of this opening stanza. Schnell rolls left, throws in, and out of the hands of number 3, Darrell Eddings, the senior flanker out of Cincinnati.
Boy, Schnell fooled everybody on that play. He had the entire schoolyard going to his right on the play, and he faked it, come out. South Carolina, one player did not fall for that fake and kept the containment on it.
Well, Eddings has not been a familiar target of Dave Schnell. In fact, he caught only one pass all year, Dave, but that was a big pass that clinched the victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes.
That was a 32-yard catch, and he couldn't have had a bigger one than that.
2nd down and 10. The ball spotted at the 30-yard line. Indiana on the move again. They lead South Carolina 7-0. Schnell over center. There's the draw. Cal Miller, the fullback, gets down to about the 27-yard line, and that is the final play of this first period. The tackle by Derek Little, the inside linebacker, the senior from Athens, Georgia. We have played 15 minutes here in the 30th renewal of this Liberty Classic, and it's Indiana out in front of the Gamecocks of South Carolina, 7-0. In front of South Carolina, 7-0. They have certainly been the recipient of the big plays through the first period of play. They have the football as we get set to go here in the second period. First quarter statistics are brought to you by Federal Express.
And look at those statistics. You can see that Indiana, complete dominance. Look at the total yards, -7. That includes the sacks, of course, that South Carolina suffers. And actually, South Carolina is fortunate to only be down 7-0. They could be down a lot worse than that. 161 yards to -7. South Carolina has not gotten into their offensive scheme yet. They are just kind of floundering. They're all just kind of moving around. They need to get something to happen right for them to get back in this football game.
Schnell going for the sideline. It is intercepted by South Carolina.
And Bill, that's something positive. I believe that's Robert Robinson out there out on the left corner, and he just scoots right in front. That's who it is. He scoots right in front, and they needed something positive to happen, and their defense has come up with it. A lot of times your defense comes up with a big play, and now the offense, they know they have to go out there. They know they had the big momentum change. Now Todd Ellis has got to take control of this offense, get inside that huddle and say, hey, let's go.
That is Robinson's 3rd interception this year, his 11th career interception. South Carolina with the football. Ellis coming right, throws, got a receiver wide open. It is complete. Carl Platt, he's listed as a tight end, but he is really a 3rd wide receiver. I tell you what, at 5'9", 175 pounds, that is not a tight end.
That's not a very big tight end. That's kind of a loose end, but no, when Carl Platt is in there, it's more like a 3 wideouts. You can see there, 32 catches. He's obviously not a blocking tight end. He's a wide receiver that plays the tight end spot. But now we have to see what Indiana does on defense also. They have an excellent defensive scheme. They've got some great defensive backs with a lot of tackles.
On 2nd down and 4, Harold Green to the midfield stripe. Grabbed from behind by the left corner, Mike Dumas, with help from Mark Ferry. But Green, who had gone out midway through the first period with an ankle, shows no signs of the problem now.
No, he certainly doesn't. With whatever they taped it right. Maybe we ought to make the athletic trainer on this play, make him the hero of this play, because Green just burst it up through the middle, read a nice block by his off guard, and picked up 26 yards.
From the 49-yard line, 1st and 10. Only South Carolina's 2nd first down of this ball game. In motion, Ellis across the midfield stripe and goes down at the 44.
And Phil, I can see that Ellis is gaining better composure as he goes in this game. I talked to Al Groh, one of the offensive coordinators, and he said this. He said he's a very intense individual out there. He's a strong competitor. And when he plays football, he puts a lot of pressure on himself. That particular play, he saw the seam up the middle under a lot of pressure, stepped around it and stepped forward. You can see in his eyes he's a very calm quarterback when he gets up to the line of scrimmage.
Gamecocks coming out of the I formation. Second down and short. Keith Bing on the carry. Walt Harris, the left tackle, knocked him down.
For a second there, I thought Ellis wanted to pull that ball out, and Bing just decided to take it because it looked as if he almost took Ellis along with him.
Now Joe Morrison in his 6th year. Columbia, South Carolina, 16 years overall. College coaching began at Tennessee Chattanooga on a recommendation from a former teammate, Sam Huff. Of course, Joe went on to New Mexico and finally landed in Columbia, South Carolina. Third down, less than 1. Green tries to go outside, and the question is why. He'll lose a couple. Joe Huff and Doug Sclareth were there again.
Oh, boy, that's when you want to power that football up in there. Just ram it up in there. Anytime you take that lateral step. Now, watch what he does right here. Just follow that back right there. He plants and tries to go outside, and you can see they string it along and take him down for a 2-yard loss. What a change of momentum on that one play. That's when you got to follow that back right up in there and just ram it up there and pick up that first down.
Rodney Price to kick it away. Good spiraling punt with a wind at his back, aiming for the sidelines. Did they save it? I don't think so. I don't think so. The ball went into the end zone, or at least somebody who got their hand on the ball went into the end zone.
Oh, when he first caught that ball and flipped it back, if his fellow teammate had not touched it, it would have been good. Now watch right here. When he goes up right there, that right there is good, but right there you can see him standing on the line. And that's what makes it a touchback and brings it back out to the 20.
11:35 to play. First half. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports Network.
Winner of the
Sports and Entertainment Network.
This is KAYU.
With Dave Rowe, I'm Phil Stone. Thanks for joining us here at the Liberty Bowl in a chilly Memphis, Tennessee. 11:36 to play in the first half. Indiana with the football. They lead 7-0. Schnell, the give is to Anthony Thompson. He'll try and turn the corner. And he's bounced out at the 30-yard line, and into the chain gang he goes.
And Bill, that's the way you break it outside. When you see that linebacker on the outside bite for the inside fake, then you can make it. Now, what Thompson does is he reads number 99. Derek Little is coming inside, and right there makes the move. You see there, 98, I should say, making, that's Kevin Hendricks, making that inside move. And then all of a sudden, he just takes it on outside and picks up the big yardage.
A gain was 9. It is second down, less than 1. First man through, the fullback. Gene Boyd, the senior from Zionsville, Indiana, northwest suburb of Indianapolis. Boy, Boyd coming into this ball game had only 13 carries all season. He has seen the ball 3 times tonight.
Well, I know he had to be surprised as anyone. I know they do a lot of switching there, he and Miller at that fullback spot, but he had to be surprised to be called upon, as you say, coming into the game with only 13 runs. You don't think about getting a chance to start in a bowl game.
Snell is chased down. David Taylor, the outside linebacker. He had 9 solo tackles against the Georgia Bulldogs this year. Knocks Snell to the turf.
Well, also, Derek Frazier had a big part in this. You'll see number 90 there in your screen play across the block and see how he pushes the quarterback, forces him deep. Now up comes the coverage to make the big tackle, but let's give credit there to Derek Frazier, who had got that penetration to force Snell around and deep.
A loss of 8, second down and 18. The ball on the 23-yard line. Indiana leading 7-0. There's the draw. Anthony Thompson runs into his own interference, and there's an example of what Al Joe Morrison's 50 defense will do. They call it the 50 defense.
Okay, you want to know what kind of defense it is? They may call it the 50, but if that isn't the Chicago Bears 46 defense, you can see here, you see all the people on this line of scrimmage, and you see how quickly they fill in the hole. They get very quickly in. They've got a lot of players. Now, the secret is if you break that line of scrimmage and you get through, then you're into the secondary. Now, they can call it the 50, but to me, it's that Chicago Bear 46.
Schnell rolling right, looking for Tony Buford. Lets it go, and it is out of bounds. Rob Turner has got the football at the 43. He was looking for Buford running a flag pattern and wound up hitting Turner running it down and out.
Well, watch how quickly Turner makes this out pattern. Cross out there. They fake him up. They come in deep. Now watch right there. You got to get that foot down in bounds, and he did. Drug that foot to get it in bounds. But what a nice pass by Schnell on the run. Look at this pass right here on the dead run. Decides to throw it. That you cannot deliver it any better than that. Look a little bit like Sammy Ball, the slinging sidearm thrower. But nice throw by Dave Schnell.
Slinging Sammy Ball. First down. Near side. Anthony Thompson. Look at him put his helmet down. He knew he had nowhere to go. Put his helmet down and put it right into Patrick Hinton's midsection.
Well, again, he had to go deep, I believe. There may be a flag on that play. We may have to watch this, but you'll see right here. See how he got forced deep? That was Kurt Wilson who forced him deep, and now he's got to make up the 5 to 7 yards he had to give. We'll have to wait and see what the call is on this play. Maybe face mask on the tail end of it. I didn't really take a peek. Yes, it is. Well, that hurts a big defensive play. Let's see if we can see it real slow here at the tail end. You see the left hand right there. Oh boy, what a great picture to show the right hand on the face mask down in the right corner of your screen. Quite a picture there from our crew, huh?
Well, they have done it all year long, our Raycom sports television crews all across America, and we thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 9:30 to play in the first half. Hoosiers out in front of South Carolina by a touchdown. Here comes Thompson again. Not much. He ran right into Derek Little and Tim High, the nose guard. Hey, you talk about that 50 defense that Joe Morrison likes to call that alignment, Dave. You're right. It's the old 46 defense, really implemented in Chicago by Buddy Ryan, now the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, but stolen first by Gary Moeller, the assistant head coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
Well, as some old coaches of mine told me, listen, you got X's and you got O's, and you draw them up there and you make a new name, but these defenses were played a long time ago. It's still man against man, beating them on the line of scrimmage, covering them out in the secondary.
Indiana from the shotgun on 3rd and 7. The ball at the 46-yard line. Clock turning. 8:42 to play. First step. Schnell coming near side. Too high. Intended for Tony Buford.
Snell pass intended for number 8.
By Buford.
Incomplete.
Number 2 receiver on this Hoosier team. He had 27 catches this year, and his per catch average 17 yards. He's their vertical man, along with Rob Turner. I tell you, Bill Mallory had the luxury of having 2 guys who could go deep. Problem is, also had a stellar tailback.
Well, how do you get the ball around to all of them? I mean, when you've got an Anthony Thompson who every time he runs the ball, he picks up almost 5 yards, why do you pass it? But then when you've got 2 wide receivers with a 17 and 20 yard per catch, you got to throw it a little bit.
Mackey Smith lets it go. Carl Platt wisely backs away, and the ball will roll dead and is finally touched at the 23-yard line. So South Carolina, they have been outgained, they have been outplayed through the first half of this ball game, yet they are only down by a touchdown.
The drive is on. Mazda's year-end sales drive.
Celebration of this 30th anniversary of the Liberty Bowl. It is an exciting show. It is a patriotic extravaganza, so please do not miss it. Indiana scored the first time they had the football, and that has been it. Hoosiers out in front of South Carolina, 7-0. Indiana trying to win their second bowl game ever. The Gamecocks would love to win their first bowl game in 8 tries. Harold Green.
That was a tough run by Harold Green. It didn't look like a long run, but let me tell you, that young man plowed in there. You can obviously see that he's limping. He just wants to play. He just wants to get out there. Look at that, Phil. That's .33 yards.
That's 1/3 of a yard. Indiana, look at that. On first down, 11.5 yards. I tell you, that's what Don Shula calls winning on first down.
How do you ever get to second down when you average 11 yards on first down?
Play action. Ellis. He's going to the vertical game. Looking downfield. It is intercepted by Indiana. Eric Coleman will bring it back the other way.
Ellis' pass intended for number 3, Eddie Miller. Interception credited to number 6, Eric Coleman of Indiana.
Bill, when you play this game, you have got to be able to cover one-on-one, and that's what Eric Coleman was in that situation. He's usually the nickelback. He's going to be on the bottom of your screen. He's covering one-on-one. He got nobody to help you there, and you can see Coleman just great inside position, reaches at the last second to bring that football down. Let's take another look at it here. Ellis is just trying to loosen up his defense a little bit, trying to get his offense a big play, and Coleman looks as if he's the intended receiver. A nice catch. Looks the ball all the way in. Now he picks up that wall of blockers. You can see how quickly they turn and pick up those blocks.
Indiana with the football. First time tonight that Ellis has been intercepted. Back to about the line of scrimmage.
Anthony Thompson, ball carrier for Indiana.
Goes Anthony Thompson, tackled by Dave Taylor. There you look at Todd Ellis. But I'll tell you, what a year he has had. We talked about the peaks and valleys of this football team. Likewise, that junior quarterback right there. 19 interceptions, 65 career interceptions. Tonight he's 2 of 7, 16 yards.
Well, he's not off to the fast start that we felt that he needed to get this football game going for South Carolina.
Thompson, and the Gamecocks sniff it out nicely.
Anthony Thompson, ball carrier.
Bill, South Carolina is playing much better on defense. They are scoping the field. They're picking up. They're going wide. They're turning everything back in. We may have an injured player on that play.
It is Ron Rabune, and I'll tell you what, he is a free safety that South Carolina can ill afford to lose.
Well, they don't want to lose him. He's really the heart of that defensive secondary. Coming into this game, he's the #1 tackler with 110 tackles. He had a sore shoulder, I believe, coming into the game. Separation, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Well, there he is, number 15. You can see good tackle. Well, that's the way you want to do it. And he falls on top of that shoulder. Looks as if he fell on that right shoulder.
And he is being helped off the field now, and he appears to be in a lot of pain.
Well, you can see they're holding that arm.
I remember the game, Dave, that Rabune had this year against Vince Dooley's Georgia Bulldogs. 17 tackles against the Dogs.
Well, he had 5 tackles already today, so he's been active today.
Speaking of the Bulldogs, they were the participants in last year's Liberty Bowl game. Dave and I were here as they scored on the last play of the game when John Casey, a backup kicker, booted the Dogs to a 20-17 win over Kenny Hatfield's Razorbacks of Arkansas. But again, as we had talked early in this ball game, that has been the tradition of past Liberty Bowls, very close ball games. Keith McDonald, a junior free safety, has now gone in to replace Ron Rabune. Schnell wants to air it out. Throwing deep. He's got a receiver and he's out of bounds. Rob Turner has got it at the 11-yard line. A 28-yard gain.
What a beautiful pass. He threw that ball actually before he made the break. You'll see it on the left of your screen. Turner, now he makes the break, and you can see how Turner, when he broke, he lost the cushion. The defensive back lost the cushion, looks that ball in just as well as you can. Look at the top of your screen there. Now watch the break to the outside. Right there, he comes back into the picture. You can see that ball. I'll tell you, Snell, not known as being a great passer, but he's being a great passer today. He had good statistics, but he has thrown the ball very well. Good touch on the football.
In motion is Rob Turner. The give, Anthony Thompson spins to the 10.
Anthony Thompson.
You know, Rob Turner, the fellow who just caught that 26-yard pass, they wondered who was going to fill the shoes of Ernie Jones, last year's Big Ten Player of the Year. Ernie, of course, graduated, and tell you, Rob Turner, the sophomore from Indianapolis, not only has filled in, but played so very, very well for Bill Mallory's Hoosiers this year.
You know, with that carry, I wanted to mention that Thompson's got 17 carries, 88 yards already, so he's well onto his way to his 10th 100-yard rushing game.
Yeah, only 2 teams kept him under 100 yards. Touchdown, Hoosiers. Cal Miller.
Snell's pass complete to number 34, Cal Miller. Good for 10 yards and 6 points.
Boy, when you can put that type of pressure on the defensive secondary, when that quarterback gets outside the containment and you don't know whether he's going to run or pass, that is the time when it's really tough on a defensive secondary. That time as Snell rolled out, he had both to run if he wanted it, and then the last second he just dumped the ball off to Cal Miller for that 10-yard touchdown reception. They got outside the containment. Any coach will tell you, you get outside the containment and you just lose all the strength of your defense.
Stoyanovich. He has got it. 105 extra points in a row.
Now watch here. You'll see Snell get outside. See, everybody's inside. Now right there, he just kind of slings that ball in there. And in goes Cal Miller for that touchdown. Again, maybe we can see it from ground level. He had a little bit more of a running ability. I mean, he could have run it if he had wanted to. See right here, when he gets outside, he's got nobody near him.
5:54 to play in the first half. Hoosiers by 14.
Not a blimp shot from the top of our stadium. But watch here when Snell comes out. We'll see what I meant as far as him throwing the ball underneath with that just kind of little sidearm. When you run that back out of the backfield and he's being covered one-on-one by that linebacker, if he breaks clean, that's when Snell hit him. You can see there, 5 plays, 40 yards. Of course, the big highlight was that long pass that they completed, that 26-yard pass to Rob Turner. But then in he went.
Now, Dave, back in 1861, the first shot of the Civil War was fired at Fort Sumter, South Carolina. But I'll tell you what, South Carolina had better fire a shot pretty quick if they're going to stay on this ball game, because Indiana has a history here in 1988 of starting quickly, and when they get out ahead of you, it is a pretty tough team to catch.
Well, you can see there they've outscored their opponents 135-46 in the second quarter alone. That was the statistic I was talking about earlier, where they had scored 190 points in the first half against their opponents only 80 points. So they really have been a first half football team.
And conversely, when South Carolina has started slowly, it has usually ended in defeat for the Gamecocks.
Well, that was one of the keys that we talked about, that they had to get off to that good start, and it was really important. Now, what you have to do in a game like this is you just have to gather your composure and, again, get back into the trend, the offensive philosophy that you have, and make it work.
Stoyanovich lets it sail. Robert Brooks at the 5. Out across the 25, fumbles the football, and Indiana has the football.
I thought for a second there he was down, but at the last second, I think they're going to give it to Indiana.
Andre Hall with the recovery.
Let's watch in here. What you do in this situation is you try to get upfield as fast as you can. We can probably see where the football, there's the football out. It was clearly out way before he was down. That football just gets ripped out of there. It's a wonder he didn't catch it in the air.
Robert Brooks, Dave, with those white gloves on. I asked him down on the field prior to the game if he minded playing with gloves. He said, well, I don't really mind. I don't like it, but I don't mind it. And you wonder if those gloves possibly caused that ball to be popped free. Indiana with the ball at the 29-yard line. Play action. Snell going for it right here. At the 5-yard line, it is cut at the 4, and out of bounds he goes. Rob Turner once more.
What a job of keeping the feet in bounds. Now, the difference, of course, in college and pros is keeping those 1 foot in bounds in college, 2 feet in pros. But watch when he catches the football, watch how he just collapses on the sideline to keep those feet in bounds. There's the catch. Now, look right there. See how he's even dragging his toes as he's going down. Now, wait a minute. There was a flag on that play.
And it's going against Indiana. It'll be holding, and that'll negate a good throw and an excellent catch by Rob Turner.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. That's been one of the best plays that South Carolina has had today. And Bill Mallory says, wait a minute. I don't like that one.
Well, Bill Mallory, he learned his football, and he learned it from some pretty fair teachers. You go back to his days, all the way back, learning from Ara Parsekian, who he played for at Miami of Ohio. He played for Johnny Pont. He assisted under Doit Perry at Bowling Green, Woody Hayes at Ohio State. Snell, this time down the center of the field he goes. A pass intended for Darrell Eddings. and he overthrew him.
I'll tell you how big a penalty that was. That wasn't just a holding penalty for 10 yards. That was a 35-yard penalty, because instead of having the ball inside the 5, they're back on their own 40. So that'll show you the severity of that penalty. 35-yard penalty. Now that's the signals. He signals in the play. You see that Schnell turns and looks at the offensive coordinator or one of the offensive coaches, and then makes those decisions off the signals that he calls in.
2nd down and 20. The ball at the 39-yard line. 5:33 to play, first half. And now Indiana wants to call a timeout and talk it over. So Dave Schnell will head for the near sideline, and while they take a timeout, we will too. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
Please, Spirit, no more. Can't we make a deal?
Liberty Bowl was played on the boardwalk inside the Atlantic City Convention Center. It was the first college bowl game ever played indoors. And Ron Coleman of Utah, a 53-yard touchdown run, a pair of field goals from All-Pro Roy Jefferson, defeated West Virginia 32-6. Problem with that game was they had to move the Miss America pageant over to the right far corner of the convention center that year. 5:33 to play on the first half. The Hoosiers of Indiana out in front of South Carolina 14-0. Schnell on the screen. Anthony Thompson's got it, cuts it back to the center of the field and gets help from the backside. Derek Frazier, the right defensive tackle, on the stop.
Anthony Thompson. Stop on the play, number 90, Derek Frazier.
Look at that play selection. Now that's the plays that they have called. They've called, Indiana's called 22 runs and 15 passes. You can see the difference there with South Carolina. 13 runs, only 7 passes. That's so far in the game. Look at the difference in total plays, 37 to 20.
And that tells you all you need to know right there. We're inside 5 minutes, 4:56. Now this time wants to come near side. Throws on the timing pattern. The pass intended for Rob Turner. And he watched that meteor sail high over his head.
Well, he had real pressure on him that time. He got blitzed and he got stuck as he was throwing that football.
Now Rob Turner, a cousin of former Indiana basketball star Landon Turner. And he is certainly going to be the vertical man in Bill Mallory's future.
How about Pete Speets for 1988? Of course, that's our kicker.
Pete Stoyanovich. This one from 51 yards away. He tried a 51-yarder in the first quarter, and it fell short. This time he sends a line drive. It may have been partially blocked. I don't believe so. It goes out of bounds in the end zone. And South Carolina will take possession there.
When play resumes.
Stoyanovich, 3 of 6 from 50 yards or more.
Hard to believe he's never missed an extra point. 103 straight. Well, 105 straight now with the 2 tonight. And that is quite a record. That is consistency.
South Carolina with the football at their own 34-yard line. Gamecocks have scored only 3 offensive touchdowns, Dave, in their last 6 ball games.
And doesn't that have to be a concern to Joe Morrison's staff? They just have not been able to drive the football.
Ellis rolling near side. The pass is caught by Keith Bing, the fullback, swinging out of the backfield. And Mark Ferry, the strong safety, takes him down. Remember that game Mark Ferry had against the Spartans of Michigan State? 12 solo tackles.
Yes, he is a blitzing strong safety. You know, one of the things I want to tell you right now is that Indiana is playing great defense. They are getting pressure up front on Ellis, and every time he's throwing the football, he's seeing a red helmet right in his face. He's got those arms up. He has to be very cognizant of that defensive rush, because they're getting great pressure. They're breaking through and getting right in his face every play.
Ellis with the 5-step drop finds Eddie Miller, the freshman split end out of Decatur, Georgia. Willie Bates, the number 1 tackler in that Indiana secondary, knocks him down.
Bill, you know, you talked about the age of this Indiana team and the ability that they had to a lot of 5th-year seniors. You look on the other side of the field in South Carolina, and boy, do they have a young offensive line. A couple juniors, a couple sophomores out there, 1 senior, and that's their center, Randy Harwell. But other than that, everybody comes back.
16 of their 22 starters on offense and defense. You're absolutely right, Dave. Will be back in 1989, unlike Bill Mallory's Hoosiers, who I believe I counted up. They will lose 17 of their 22 starters.
Well, boy, has Bill Mallory turned his system, his program around. To come in first year, go 0-11, that doesn't give you a lot of confidence. But hey, he has really produced a winner.
Play action. Ellis with plenty of time unloads. He's got a receiver caught at the 39-yard line. Robert Brooks, the sensational freshman out of Greenwood, South Carolina, makes the catch.
Boy, and the play action there gave Ellis a lot of time. When he stood back there, it froze the defense. He makes that little play action. You'll see right here. Play action in the line right there. Now look at the time he has. You see no one in the picture to the left of your screen. Now Ellis can set up, get his feet right, and find his wide receiver. And when he has time to do that, that is when he is most effective, when he doesn't have those players right in his face.
First down at the 38-yard line of Indiana. The Hoosiers out in front 14-0. Harold Green cuts it back. He's at the 36, dives ahead to the 35, and Russell down. A flag goes down. 2 flags are down, and this one will most certainly go against Indiana.
Well, all you had to do is look on the far sideline and see all the South Carolina players jumping up and down, because this is the first semblance of a drive that they have had. They have not controlled the football in this first half. This can only help them. In fact, it may give them a first down. It's going to be very close. If, in fact, it was just the inadvertent face mask, it's a 5-yard penalty, and it could almost give them a first down. Perhaps we can see it to the left of your screen. Let's watch the tackle on the tail end right here. Not there, but right. Look at number 6. You see right there? Number 6. Great picture there.
Eric Coleman.
That shows you, and I think that's just the inadvertent one where the hand comes in contact with the mask. The other one is where you use the face mask to make the tackle, where you just do the ripping type of movement.
At the 30-yard line. The Gamecocks on the move. 2:39 to play, first half. Ellis looking deep. Now he's going to be chased out of the pocket, and he'll go out of bounds, and wisely so. Joe Huff chased him out with help from Jim Sams, the nose tackle. That's one thing that Todd Ellis in the past has not done very well. Instead of taking the sack, he has tried to force the pass, Dave, into what at times has been airtight zone coverage, and it has cost him.
Yes, he's a little bit impatient when he's back there. He wants to force that ball into coverage. Now, that time, when he was under that pressure, he just sort of zinged it downfield, just not taking that 5-yard loss, just zinged it downfield and just throw the incomplete.
Second down and 9. The ball at the 38, 2:33 to play. First half, the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. Indiana showing blitz. Here they come. Ellis dumps it off quickly. Pass intended for Harold Green. Nothing doing. You know, Dave, Al Grove, his first year as offensive coordinator at South Carolina, along with Joe Morrison, installed the pro set. But really a lack of experience by many key positions. Wide receiver, tight end, nagging injuries really slowed Harold Green. Has produced an offense that really has been a rather unexciting offense in 1988 when you compare it to what Morrison had in previous years, that run and shoot.
Well, the run and shoot's a it's just a very flamboyant offense. You got guys going everywhere. Now look at there. You see the third down conversions, 0 of 5. Todd Ellis needs to really pick this one up, keep this drive away. They're too far back.
Intercepted by Indiana. Andre Hall picked it off. Eddie Miller, the intended receiver.
And I'll tell you this, as Todd Ellis came back and set up, he never took his eyes off his primary receiver. Watch here. He looks out. Now, look, you'll never see him look back to his left. See, he looks all the way, and the safety playing the eyes of the quarterback comes all the way across the field and makes the interception. You can see how far he came. That safety came 15 yards on that play to make that interception.
For Ellis, his second interception tonight, the 20th of the year. Listen to this, his 66th career interception at South Carolina.
That's a bunch.
Snell, play action. He's going downfield. Buford has got the football. Tony Buford. Second second time in this game that Schnell has led Buford perfectly.
You cannot throw a ball any better than this. Anytime you catch your wide receiver in there, man-to-man coverage down on the bottom of your screen, you'll see the cushion there. Now watch the defender lose the cushion, and now all of a sudden you're running man-on-man. But look at the ball. Not even a slowdown there. And he just catches the ball right in stride.
How about this? Tony Buford, 2 catches, 89 yards.
That tells you he's going deep, doesn't it?
44.5-yard average. That'll attract some attention to these pro scouts in attendance here tonight in Memphis. Anthony Thompson. Here they go. He stepped out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds at the 13-yard line.
I can't believe he stepped out of bounds. I don't think he does either, because he had the ability to come back in bounds. He just ran out of bounds. He wasn't forced out, I don't believe. Maybe we can see the feet here. Now look, he breaks through right there. Now just get back, take one step back inside, but look, he just keeps on running to the sideline. Now watch right here. This is unbelievable. He just keeps on running and steps out of bounds right there. He didn't have any pressure to go out. Phil, that's when you just got to take a little bit of a lean to the right.
From the I formation, first down at the 13. The fullback, first man, Cal Miller, not much. Clock continues to run, 1:41, 1:40. Eric Little on the tackle.
I can tell you that Bill Mallory wants to get in for a touchdown. Joe Morrison wants to get in and just say, hey, we got to regroup. So if you can hold them to a field goal try, we'll feel great right now.
I'll tell you one thing. As much as this Gamecock defense has been on the field in the first half, they have played well.
They certainly have. They could be down a lot worse than what they are.
Schnell throwing. The pass is caught at the 6-yard line. It is Miller, the fullback, swinging out of the backfield. He delayed momentarily, sprung free, and caught the football.
How did he catch this one? Watch this. You talk about the shoestring catch. Watch this ball. Comes right down there. It was tipped right there. And look, one hand scoops it back in, cannot get his balance, and falls back. It looked as if that ball may have gotten tipped on the line. Perhaps we can see it right. Well, do you see the trajectory of the football, the way it's the movement of the football? That's not a normal pass for a quarterback.
Schnell. Oh, is he grabbed and spun down by Patrick Hinton. Boy, Hinton, what a year. The sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia, plays linebacker on the right side. He had 3 interceptions versus NC State, including an 83-yarder for a touchdown. Timeout has been called now by Indiana. But I'll tell you, Patrick Hinton is a guy that Joe Morrison likes to have around. Clock stop, 35 seconds to play on the first half. We'll return with more in a moment. Day party, the Liberty Bowl from Memphis, Tennessee, Indiana. A touchdown in the first period. They scored again here in the second stanza out in front of South Carolina, 14-0. And the word is South Carolina Gamecock free safety Ron Ribune, the #1 tackler on this team, out with a separated shoulder the 3rd time this year. Pete Stoyanovich from 27 yards away. This time he nails it. Stoyanovich, who had attempted a pair of 51-yarders and was unsuccessful, finally gets that one to sail through the uprights, and Indiana now extends that lead to 17-zip.
Now, I'll tell you what I would have done in that situation. I believe if I was going to kick that field goal, I would let that clock run down to about 3 or 4 seconds, because they called a timeout earlier than they should have, and they're going to give South Carolina the football with 30 seconds left. And that could be an important 30 seconds. If Ellis is able to find one of his wide receivers, you never know what he might find on 30 seconds.
Dave, we talk about South Carolina and what a year it has been. A lot of peaks, a lot of valleys. You got to go back just about a year ago, and I'll tell you, it was a megaton bomb exploded in Columbia. Even the Gamecocks high-capacity scandal meter couldn't handle that one. First wide receiver Ryan Bethea charged with cocaine possession and distribution. He didn't come back to school before that ruckus quieted. Rico Marshall, who the day before signed a scholarship with the Gamecocks, died from a cocaine overdose, and it got worse than that. Their athletic director, Bob Markham, was fired, and then I remember last October, the Sports Illustrated article broke with Tommy Chaikin, a former player, charging massive steroid use amongst the Gamecocks. And I'll tell you, Joe Morrison, it has been just one hydrogen bomb after another.
Well, and let's give a lot of credit to this South Carolina team for holding together in that situation, because that's a lot of distractions off the field. It doesn't have anything to do with these players. These young men are are fine football players. We're talking about some football players that were associated with South Carolina, but really, they have a fine football team.
Yes, they do.
And I want to give them a lot of credit. They've held together in a lot of adversity.
At the 33, taken there and downed immediately. Joe Reeves covered it nicely, and South Carolina will get a gasp here with 30 seconds to play.
Well, there's the storyline. You can see Indiana. Thompson, 114 yards rushing. He has been involved in a lot of plays. They've run 40 plays, and look at South Carolina. 3 turnovers, result 17 points for Indiana. That's really been the storyline. And as we said, South Carolina is fortunate not to be farther behind.
Ellis is just going to go down. I don't understand that at all. You're down 17-0. You're in a bowl game.
Well, I got a field goal kicker who's kicked a 52-yard field goal. As I said, I think Joe Morrison just says, let's get in the locker room. Let's regroup. Let's not have anything go wrong. Let's just get in there and take our licks in this first half and come back out in the second half with a lot more confidence. He's willing to concede 17-0. Said, just let me get in there and get warm and get my players juiced up.
You know, I'm not so certain Morrison agreed with that call. Whoever was calling the offensive plays there, as he turned around and said something to an assistant. And I don't think it was anything about have a nice time in the locker room at halftime. So that's it. The first 30 minutes of play completed. Indiana over South Carolina 17-0. The Liberty Bowl is being brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV. By Crest, Dentist's Choice for fighting cavities. Crest with fluoride. And by Owens Corning. Our products put your house in the pink. The Liberty Bowl is being brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Light Fire Brew for smooth, consistent taste. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the United States Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. And by Federal Express with worldwide service to over 100 countries. And now let's take a look at the Federal Express halftime statistics. And Dave, you don't have to look much farther than first downs and total yards.
Well, it's been a Federal Express for Indiana in this first half. Look at that total yards, 301 yards. That's just unbelievable. The turnovers, of course, by South Carolina have hurt them. But really, the only thing that South Carolina is in this football game in is time of possession. That's not devastating, but look at that. 9 yards rushing. They have not been able to run the football. And Indiana has really controlled this football game. They have controlled the tempo. Phil, one thing, though, I think that South Carolina is still in this football game. If they can come out and establish something early in this second half, if they come out and take this football when they get it and drive down the field and score, then they may get some composure and get back into it. But if they don't, it's going to be a long one.
Well, Joe Morrison and his entire coaching staff has taken a lot of heat down in Columbia, South Carolina this fall. They got off to the 6-0 start, and then the wheels began to fall off a bit. They started taking on the likes of Florida State, and they got crushed by the Seminoles 59-0. It was a very, very difficult loss. They lost to Clemson in their final game of the year. Let's take a look back at our Stroh's must. What must South Carolina do, as we talked about at the start of the game?
Well, look there. Have a quick start by Todd Ellis. They haven't had that. Contained Mr. Thompson. They haven't done that. Not allow Indiana control the tempo of this football game. They haven't done that. I feel like that game show when you make the wrong answer. They have not done what they had to do to win this football, and consequently they're down 17-0.
Well, a classic case of truth or consequences to be sure. How about the Indiana Stroh's must? They have certainly controlled the line of scrimmage.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, they have. Pressure Todd Ellis. They've sacked him 3 times and win the kicking game. That hasn't been the big factor, mainly because they haven't had to kick that much. But really, they have done what they had to do to win this football game in the first half, and they are ahead 17-0.
Now, Lance Herring will kick it away for South Carolina as Indiana will have the football here in the first possession of the second half. Temperature at game time, 35 degrees. A 10-mile-an-hour wind out of the north had the chill factor at about 24 degrees, and it has gone down into the teens now.
And I know it's cold.
Herring lets it sail. It'll be taken at the 11-yard line. Out across the 23, near the 29, out across the 30, near the 31-yard line. So Indiana will have good field position.
And look at Dave Schnell's statistics for this first half of this football game. 10 completions and 18 attempts, 188 yards. And wow, has he found Turner and Buford in this first half. They had some great stats. Turner, 3 catches for 63 yards. Buford, 2 catches for 89 yards. That's pretty good completion average.
Down the ball at the 32-yard line. Schnell hands it off to Anthony Thompson, and he rattles across the 33 out near the 34 to gain of 2. Derek Little, the inside linebacker, will bring him down. Now the Gamecocks on the year defensively had 38 hits behind the line of scrimmage. They also had 20 sacks and 16 interceptions. Tonight's performance by this Gamecock defensive unit not indicative of what Gamecock fans saw most of 1988.
Well, when you see a one-sided, lopsided statistics edge to one team, you would think they'd be behind even worse than they are. But if they can hold them and get back in and get a score, they may be able to get back in this football game as quickly, more quickly than what you may think. They could get right back into this football game.
Darrell Eddings on the catch, a 10-yard pickup. That is his second catch of this ball game, only his third all year. Now Dave Schnell, he was ranked 7th in the nation by Sporting News at the start of the year. Todd Ellis ranked 4th in the country, behind only Pete, Aikman, and Hudson at LSU. Thompson again trying to follow Fryer and Radke, and got a couple. David Taylor on the tackle.
And this is when you call your offensive line surge and Anthony Thompson time. Watch the line. Now see the rears of those linemen. You see them just disappear from the picture. That's when you are just swarming over that defensive line. We talked about the big weight advantage. South Carolina giving up about 35 pounds or more per man. And that big offensive line for Indiana is just coming off the football, and it's like hitting a blocking sled. You're just plowing off that line.
2nd and 6. The ball at the 48. Thompson now with 120 yards on 20 carries. Schnell rolling alongside the line of scrimmage, and he is popped, and popped hard. Theartis Woodard and David Taylor on the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and long. It is cold here in Memphis. Here's a weather update. Now the chill factor has the temperature dipping to 20 degrees.
He's not cold. Look at him.
I'll tell you, this weather tonight, it is clear and cold, in sharp contrast to what we had here in Memphis last night. Tornado warnings, several tornadoes spotted all along the Mississippi River. What a night last night. And what frigid conditions tonight. Flags flying everywhere, indicating it will unquestionably go against Indiana.
That's what South Carolina needs. They need some things to go right for them. They need an interception. They need a fumble recovering, good field position. They need their defense to come out and hold. They need their offense to get a drive and a semblance of a drive. The only time that they even came close to getting in Indiana's territory was that one drive, but then they lost field position with that run out of bounds by Ellis. So they have not had good field position and have not driven the ball. You know what those are on the back of the helmets, by the way? Those are buffaloes.
Stickers.
Oh, they're buffaloes. I asked down the field, they were buffalo. They told me that's the state animal of Indiana. Now, you convinced me of that, and I'll let you explain how Hoosiers got their name.
I have a theory on how the Hoosiers got their name, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Schnell rolling right, throws, and it is incomplete. Nobody around was eligible. Closest guy to the football was the pulling guard, Tim Radke.
This is the one. This is the old lineman's dream. If I can only turn around, just let me turn around. Watch here. You're going to see the blitz by South Carolina now. They don't get the receiver out of the backfield. Thompson was blocked, and you can see the ball going right over top of Radke's head. Now, he just turned around and said, let me just have that football.
Say, the screen formed awfully well. There was just one minor problem.
That there was nobody to receive the screen.
This is Mackey Smith to kick it away.
And here they come.
Low snap, and it is blocked. Picked up by South Carolina, and the Gamecocks are going to be on the board. Mike Tolbert has scored.
Bill, we saw this all the way. 10 men up on the line of scrimmage. You knew they were going to come after this kick.
Gamecocks had not blocked a punt all year long. Indiana had blocked 3.
Well, I was talking to one of the coaches down on South Carolina who was timing the kicks and the snaps from center, and he said to me, they're having trouble with their snaps. I think we can block one.
Colin Mackey whistles the point after through, and South Carolina draws first blood. Their first score in this ball game, they trail by 10.
Well, you can see the scoop down, and look how many people were in the picture. 10 men up on the line of scrimmage. Everybody came in front.
Antonio Walker and Ren Sharperson credited with the block kick. Oh, what a turnaround. Play, and they got it. With Mackey Smith in punt formation, a bad snap. Blocked by both Antonio Walker and Ren Sharperson. Picked up by Mike Tolbert, and away he went.
Boy, and this is the kind of spur that you need to spur your team on. But it does not relieve the problem that South Carolina has, and that is that they have not scored on offense. But this can really give them a boost. They needed something positive to happen to them. They needed a break, a fumble, an interception, and that block punt. Bill, when they lined up, I looked up on the line of scrimmage. You heard me say, here they come, because 10 of them were up there on the line of scrimmage, and you knew they were coming after them.
12:19 to play here in the third period. The Gamecocks are finally on the scoreboard. And Lance Herring lets it sail. It'll be taken at the 12-yard line. Rob Turner across the 30, out near the 31. And Indiana will take it once more.
And now if you're Indiana's quarterback, Dave Snell, got to get your offense back out there. You got to say, okay, this happened. We still have a 10-point lead. We've got control of the line of scrimmage. We're doing a lot of things positive. He's got to be the leader in that huddle. He comes in, calmly calls the play.
The Hoosiers coming out of the eye. The up back Boyd. The tailback, of course, is the Big Ten Player of the Year, Anthony Thompson. Short drop coming to the near side. It is caught by Tony Buford. A gain of 11 for Buford. His third catch of the evening. He now has 100 yards in those 3 receptions. What's that, 33-plus yards per catch?
It certainly is. I'll tell you one thing that really has hurt South Carolina, and we made mention of it early, and that is the loss of Ron Rabune, their strong safety, the #1 tackler. Now they have to make defensive adjustments. They bring in a walk-on. Keith McDonald's a walk-on coming out on this program. Not to slight his athletic talents, but just a junior, a walk-on. First he came out there and just said, give me a try, and made this football team.
First down. Oh, does Anthony Thompson take a stick? Derek Little really popped him. It was Gene Boyd. It was not Anthony Thompson. The fullback, Boyd, 6'2", 235.
Boy, you want to see what it's like to turn out the lights. That was a turn out the lights one. Boy, he just met him in a hole. Just bam, down he went. That was a big-time stick there by Derek Little.
See Little trying to fire up the South Carolina followers here in the stands at Liberty Bowl Stadium. Pitch comes to the near side. That is Anthony Thompson. Well, what a first half Thompson had. A gain of 2.
Now there's a lot of players on South Carolina on that defense that are taking charge. That time it was Patrick Hinton. the outside linebacker, and he was the one charging in there. Number 46 you see in the center of your screen. You can see them trying to fire each other up in there. Look at them clapping hands. Let's go, get out there when they make that big play. They think they have a chance to get back in this football game, and they may have that chance.
Third down, a little more than 10. Schnell out of bounds, and it'll be a punting situation once more for Indiana. And the South Carolina bench is going wild. Schnell not happy with that series, and rightfully so. So Mackey Smith is on again. Keep in mind, a moment ago, he had a punt block. South Carolina picked it up and took it in. And they've got 10 guys on the line again.
Now, everybody wants to get a block in here. And again, a lot of pressure on the center and the kicker to get this kick off.
Short punt. Taken at the 31. Fair catch there by number 18, Carl Platt. The Liberty Bowl program cover featured the King, Memphis' own Elvis Presley, who was posthumously given the Distinguished Service Award after a very emotional halftime speech over South Carolina, 17-7, 10:49 to play. Gamecocks with the football. Ellis looking downfield, throws, got a receiver in and out of the arms at the 45-yard line. Eddie Miller had his hands on the football, the freshman from Decatur, Georgia, and it was sprung loose by Terry Saunders.
Bill, when you talk about South Carolina in this football game, look at the miscues that they have had. An interception which resulted in a touchdown, the fumble, they missed the field goal, Indiana did. Then another interception led to another field goal. So that's 10 of the 17 points that the Hoosiers have scored have come directly as a result of South Carolina miscues.
Second down and 10 now. The ball at the 31-yard line. Ellis barking signals. Has one setback behind him. Throwing on the slant. In and out of the arms of George Rush, the sophomore split in from Goose Creek, South Carolina.
Incomplete.
It has really been a case through the first 2.5 quarters, Dave Rowe, of a South Carolina offense that has misfired. Ellis now 5 of 14. Harold Green has not gained a great number of yards.
No, only 8 carries, 36 yards. So they have not controlled the football.
And of course, their outstanding freshman wide receiver, Robert Brooks. Only 1 catch for 18 yards. So it has been a short circuit overall for that South Carolina offense. Third down and 10. Ellis taking the deep drop, pressure, now throws, and he'll just unload the football rather than take the sack. So Carolina's going to have to kick it away.
Now this throw, this is just throwing it out of bounds. I'd rather see it thrown downfield. A little twist in the middle, and they did not pick it up on the offensive line. Look how quickly that defensive tackle comes in there. Look at Ellis just trying to get rid of that football. You got to step around that a little bit. You just got to avoid that. They didn't rush. It wasn't an all-out blitz. It was just 4 linemen, but they did a little twist in the center where they exchanged positions.
Rodney Price gets it away, taken on the run by Tony Buford. He takes it back across the 43, near the 44. I want to remind you, Dave and I will announce the Ford Player of the Game at the conclusion of this evening's telecast, so we invite you to stay with us. The halftime ceremony is always a sight to behold. Indiana with the football. They own a 17-7 lead. Schnell rolling right, dumps it out. It is caught on the run. Knocked out of bounds at the 27-yard line is the big tight end, Tim Jordan, the senior from Westchester, Ohio.
Pass complete to number 86, Tim Jordan. Depending on the play, number 30.
You'll see that Snell just completely fooled South Carolina on that fake. When he comes out here, he's got the option now if he wants to run or pass the football, and he just finds downfield, finds his wide receiver downfield, steps out of bounds here. Again, watch Snell. Now watch the fake into the line. Now watch everybody from South Carolina come down the line. Now he flips out. You see him at the top of your screen? Nobody out there, no pressure. Now he has that option, and you see the position that the defense is in. Do you come up and try to stop the run, or do you drop back and try to cover the pass?
Schnell again. This time he has got a receiver wide open. It is Carlos Marte at the 6-yard line on the identical play that he hit his other tight end, Tim Jordan, on.
That was the exact same play. Now Even I know when this one's coming. Now watch this. Same fake action. Back to the outside. No one there. Little tiny dump pass over there. South Carolina has got to make an adjustment on that, because if they're going to run that twice back-to-back and pick up the yardage that they have, gosh, why not come back to it a third time? He wouldn't do that, would he?
Carlos Marte, the senior out of the Bronx, New York, only 5 catches this year, has one now here in the 30th annual Liberty Bowl game. First and goal, Indiana from the 6. It is Anthony Thompson. He crashes his way to the 1, a gain of 5. Thompson now 123 yards on 22 carries.
You know, if Thompson scores this touchdown, again, this is Anthony Thompson time here inside the 10-yard line. Put that head down, barrel down there. If he scores this touchdown, he'll tie Pete Johnson with 26 touchdowns in 1 year.
It will be interesting to see how Anthony Thompson does in 1989 when every one of his starting linemen have graduated. We'll watch Thompson perhaps go up and over here. It's one of Bill Mallory's favorite plays. Fumble on the snap. Snell covers it. Gamecock defensive linemen everywhere, but Indiana will retain possession. A loss of 2.
He was fortunate to get this ball. When you pull your hands out too quick, watch the hands on the football. You can see the ball actually came a little bit low. He was fortunate to get that ball back, that South Carolina didn't recover it. It looked as if the quarterback puts his hands up under center, and that ball is supposed to hit that top hand, and it did not.
David Taylor, the left outside linebacker for South Carolina, came so very close to picking up that fumble. The Gamecock defensive unit has 15 fumble recoveries this year. It is now 3rd down and goal from the 3. Snell wants to put it up, throws, and he cannot find the receiver. Rob Turner cutting across the back of the end zone, unable to catch up with it.
And what a decision here for Mallory and his crew. As Snell is not going, he's going to have a lot of pressure. A blitz up the middle. You see the linebacker going in there. Again, fake in. That doesn't fool anybody. They're going right down Snell's throat. He has to unload this ball, and he just throws it to the back of the end zone. Not much chance for a catch there. But this extra point here, this field goal, will put him up by only 13 points. So, I don't know. It's a tough situation here to go. 4th down and 2. It's only going to put them up 13 points if, in fact, they make it.
Stojanovic, 1 of 3 tonight. Now make it 2 of 4. He has been perfect from that range here in 1988. The clock is stopped. Hoosiers on top of the Gamecocks 20-7 with 8:31 to play in the 3rd period. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports Network. We're going to throw a bowl game into just a moment ago. Stake the Hoosiers to a 20-7 lead. And he'll be booting it to Robert Brooks and Gerald Williams, number 27 in the black jerseys. Stojanovic lets it sail. It'll be Brooks at the 11. And this guy can fly. His feet cut out from under him at the 25 as he made the cut. And the Gamecocks will start from their own 26-yard line. You know, Dave, talking to Bud Dudley brought back memories of what was built back in 1972 as the Lemon Bowl when Georgia Tech took on Iowa State here in the Liberty Bowl. And if you remember, Georgia Tech had to go with a backup quarterback by the name of Jim Stevens. Iowa State coach Johnny Majors announced the day before that Liberty Bowl that he was leaving Iowa State for Pittsburgh. So it was one of those bowl games everybody went, oh, wow. Georgia Tech ended up winning at 31-30. Speaking of the 30, Keith Bing brings the ball out to the 30, where he is smothered by Walt Harris and Brad Money.
Well, I got a good one for you. I heard that a Memphis lady just called and said that her husband, who's a Master Chief, Brian Gibbs, is watching this game in Bermuda on Raycom, live on Raycom, and he just called and said, honey, I'm enjoying a great game. He's watching down there with his unit down in the barracks.
So, in Bermuda?
In Bermuda. I bet it's warm there.
It's a lot warmer than it is here in Memphis.
I imagine that must be the Armed Forces Network.
Keith Bing in motion. Pass is caught by George Rush out near the 40-yard line, and Willie Bates takes him off his sneakers. You know, you talk about so many great Liberty Bowls. What would you suppose the most emotional Liberty Bowl would have been?
I would probably think that had to be Bear Bryant's last game.
1982. I couldn't agree with you more.
He died only 4 weeks later. I believe they won, what, 21-15 was it over Illinois?
Over Tony Eason's Illinois Fighting Illini.
Right.
It's Harold Green, tries to turn the corner, does so, stays on his feet out across the 44 near the 45-yard line. Walt Harris on the tackle with help from Mark Ferry. Oh, Dave, you talk about this Indiana defensive unit. 10 of their 11 starters are seniors. They're going to be gone next year. And what is so amazing, not only do you have that cohesive unit in playing as seniors for as long as this Indiana defense has played together, but this year they have remained healthy all year.
Oh gosh, that was one of the stats I couldn't believe in my preparations, is that every one of their players, almost to a T, just started every game and played the entire game, and there was no serious injuries.
Ellis rolling right, throws downfield. It is caught at the 39-yard line. Anthony Parler only his 11th catch this year, his first here in this ball game. And he is upended by Mike Dumas.
And that has to be a confidence builder, because Ellis rolling away, he's trying to avoid that pressure, so he rolls strong inside in that pocket and throws a nice pass on the run. This has got to be a confidence builder. His receiver, he found him in between the seam of a zone coverage, the deep and short zone, picked up a nice first down yard. It just has to be a confidence builder for him.
Ellis, 7 of 16, 72 yards and 2 interceptions. It is 1st and 10 at the Hoosier 39. Double tight ends at the top of your screen. Short drop by Ellis. Throws complete at the 33-yard line. Again, it is Parler. And again, it is Dumas covering. Boy, Dumas, what a load at left corner. The sophomore from Alta, Michigan, out near Grand Rapids. We were just talking about Indiana's defensive unit. Dumas has started every game this year.
And he is a tough little competitor out there. Boy, that's where you're out in no man's land. 6 foot, 175 pounds, and you're out there. And he, you know, by the way, he blocked 3 punts this year, so he's had a real good year. I think that's a setup play, though. I think what they're going to do is that old out and up fake now and see if they can go for the big score soon.
Harold Green fights off 1 tackle, gains 1, maybe 2. Walt Harris chases him out.
Well, I'm still looking for that out and up. See, I love those setup plays. There's certain plays that you run to set up your defensive secondary. You run that quick out a couple of times, and all of a sudden he bites on it, and then you throw that play long. You run that across the middle. It's a good-looking. That must be a Gamecock. Is that right? Is that a Gamecock or is that a Hoosier?
3rd down and 2 now at the 31-yard line. In motion, Carl Platt. Ellis comes to the near side. It is caught by Green. And he is tripped up at the 25-yard line. Again, Mike Dumas.
And Phil, if that statistic was right, that's the first 3rd down conversion that they have made in 8 tries. And this is a tough catch. Ellis under a lot of pressure. Look at this, unloads the ball. And look at the catch. One hand there, spreads out that big glove there by the receiver, and he just picks up that 1st down. That's their first conversion on 3rd down in 8 tries.
Robert Brooks goes wide to the left. Out of the I formation, the Gamecocks at the 24. The give is to Harold Green, and he is nailed in the backfield by Jim Sands. A loss of 2. Clock turning, 4 minutes and 59 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. Indiana out in front of South Carolina, 20-7.
This is a situation where you go with the play that works best. They've thrown those 2 plays to Parler, and he's come up with very nice catches. I would look for them to go to that wide receiver on that situation to come back and fire that ball downfield. They're not going to be able to run against this Indiana unit. They have not run with any success so far, and you've got to put the ball up and move it downfield via the air route.
2nd and 12. Ellis, deep drop, looking for the out. He's still on his feet and goes helmet to helmet with Joe Huff. He moves the ball to the 26-yard line. Good pressure by Jim Sands. You know, Joe Huff, a walk-on back in 1984 for Bill Mallory. He's gained 20 pounds since he came to Bloomington. That's about, what, 3 cups of eggnog?
A day for 10 years. Yeah, he is. And, you know, it's nice to see these young people walk on. A walk-on, for people who don't know it, is someone who just says, hey, look, I wasn't good enough to get a scholarship and couldn't go where I wanted to go, but I still have a love for football, and I want to come out there, and he makes the team.
Ellis looking. Look at all the time he's got. Throws on the slant. In and out of the arms of Robert Brooks. Oh, a very catchable ball.
Oh, boy. This is one that Robert Brooks would love to have back up. As you said, Ellis, watch the time. Good composure back there. Now he waits for Brooks to make his move across the middle, and look at this ball right on the fingertips and right through. And you can see Brooks. Look at the reaction of the lineman in the backfield there. Oh no, he missed it, and he did. He missed an easy one.
Colin Mackey will come on to attempt his first field goal of the evening. He is the number 2 scorer in South Carolina history, behind only Heisman Trophy winner George Rogers, and he is only a sophomore. He lets this one go, and it just creeps over the crossbar. And now we have got a ball game with 3:36 remaining in the third period. South Carolina has come out here in the third stanza and put 10 points on the scoreboard. With 3:36 remaining in the third, Hoosiers 20, South Carolina 10. Back to 1936 when the first national title went to the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. In fact, Minnesota won 3 of the first 6 mythical national championships.
Why do you say mythical?
Well, because when there's no bowl playoff, that's pretty tough.
It's true. There's a lot of coaches that have expressed a lot of feelings about that possibility of a bowl playoff.
At the 5-yard line, it is Markel Granderson. He's out across the 23 and is smothered at the 24. Granderson, a junior from Yonkers, New York. Now South Carolina has been to 7 bowl games looking for their first victory. Indiana has taken part in 4. They have won 1. As we chronicled in the first period, they knocked off Brigham Young in the 1979 Holiday Bowl in San Diego, and what a ball game it was. 38-37 was the score. First down, Hoosiers from the I. Guess who? Anthony Thompson out across the 24 near the 25. Now, for the second year in a row, Bill Mallory has had the Big Ten Player of the Year. Ernie Jones in 87, number 32 in white in 88.
And he may have the one in 89 because there doesn't look as if anyone can stop Anthony Thompson. He has got more records. Gosh, is he a good football player. Just, you look at his size, he's only a junior, and his records read unbelievable. 4 touchdowns against Ohio State, 24 season touchdowns, 41 career touchdowns, and the list goes on and on.
Snell throwing for the far side, incomplete, intended for Tony Buford. And he didn't get it far enough downfield. You know, Bill Mallory, while at Colorado, Dave, coached against the 1978 Heisman winner Billy Sims. At Indiana, he's coached against Lorenzo White of Michigan State, against Michigan's Jamie Morris. They are the Big Ten's number 2 and 3 career rushing leaders. But he says Anthony Thompson is the best he has ever seen.
Well, he's got to be pleased with David Schnell, too, with those statistics. 259 yards passing. Wow.
Snell lets it go, and he was hit just as he released the football. Pass intended for Rob Turner.
You want to see pressure? Watch Patrick Hinton coming up here. Hinton's going to shoot through in the line. Look at this. You can tell South Carolina's going to do that all-out blitz, and that's why he throws it downfield. An interesting picture is developing here in front of me. Every one of the Indiana players has got a jacket on. And look across the field there at South Carolina. Not one of them has a jacket on. They got short-sleeve shirts on. They're not cold right now.
Mackey Smith has punted 3 times in the ball game. 1 was blocked, and Mike Tolber picked it up and ran it in for South Carolina. They've got 10 men on the line again, and here they come. He gets it away. A short punt. Smith shanked it. Gets a good bounce. Picked up by Platt, and he is spun around and thrown out of bounds. Mike Dumas, we have called his number all night long. In fact, I want to know how many Hoosiers are wearing number 38.
Seems as if they have a lot of them. That's the truth. You know, we talked about the great starts that Indiana had in the first half. They had outscored their opposition 190 to 80 points. In the second half, they haven't outscored their opposition by very much. They've been a very strong first half start team, but they have not outscored significantly their opposition during the second half. And South Carolina so far has scored 10 unanswered points.
The Gamecocks with the football. 2:32 to play. Third period. They're down by 10. In motion, it is Platt. Ellis lets it go right over the middle, in and out of the arms of number 32, Ken Watson. He is one of the 2 true tight ends. on Joe Morrison's football team. And this is a team that really doesn't even feature a tight end. They haven't had one in 3 years.
No, they haven't. And that's a pass that he should have had on that ball. Going across, it's a delay across the middle. He should have had this football. It was thrown right in his hands, and he'd have picked up 15 to 20 yards. And you can see Joe Morrison doesn't like it.
Now Joe this year picked up his 100th career victory with a 23-7 win over the Wolfpack of NC State. Second down and 10. Ellis, there's the short drop, throws the out. The flag is down. It is caught by Anthony Parler. And Parler is grabbed immediately by guess who?
It's got to be Joe Huff.
Nope, Mike Dumas.
Okay, well, you called their names so many times. But there was a flag on that play. I think someone jumped off sides. Maybe that was Joe Huff that jumped off sides.
It's going to go against Indiana.
There he is, 35. You can see right there, he got a quick start. Ellis reads that blitz and throws it out here. We've called Huff and Dumas' names so much tonight. And Thompson. Boy, we just kept on calling them back and forth.
You know, Huff, 6'1", 225-pound senior, a walk-on, has 4.5 speed.
You don't find many walk-ons with 4.5 speed.
Talk about walk-ons, Dave, and as you were mentioning, these are guys who come to school and really walk out and say, I want to play football. They were not great high school athletes. There have been a lot of them who have gone on. Carl Mecklenburg started at Augustana College, where Ken Anderson started, went on to star for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He was a walk-on. Frank Minifield of the Cleveland Browns. Nebraska has a bunch of red wine. I am hip. And it goes much further than that. Derry Nelson. Kerwin Bell of Florida, quarterback who still holds the all-time SEC passing record. All were walk-ons. Play action, Ellis. He is hit just as he unloads the football. It is caught at the 35-yard line. Oh, did Ellis take a hit?
Boy, oh boy, you have got to have confidence when you stand back in the quarterback position. And Ellis never takes his eyes off his wide receiver. Now the ball is thrown right in here where he makes the out. Now the ball's already in the air. See how quickly it gets to him? But let me tell you something. As you said, Ellis took a shot right in the stomach. One of the defensive linemen broke free. You can see there, that's just a freshman wide receiver, but one of the defensive linemen broke free and just buckled him right in the belly. But Ellis, just confident back there, stood and threw that strike.
From the I formation, 1st and 10 at the Hoosier 36-yard line, a minute 27 to play. The pitch goes to the far side, Gerald Williams, and he pierces the 35 down near the 34, a gain of 2. Mark Perry and Joe Huff on the tackle.
I know you don't want, hey, you know who that kid is?
That is Mark Rowe. Do you know that kid?
Well, see, he's got an Oakland Raiders hat down. That's how I knew him.
I'll tell you what, that's Dave's young son. It's one of the first times I have seen Mark Rowe all weekend without a hot dog.
And I know that guy next to him. That's a South Carolina great fan, Carl Davidson. He's down there keeping him out of trouble.
We're inside a minute, 48 seconds to play in the third period. South Carolina is on the move. Ellis wants Robert Brooks to split out more wide to the right. The throw overthrown, intended for George Rush.
Oh, boy. And he had Robert Brooks going across the middle on a crossing pattern. If they pull that play back and they come back in the huddle, Robert Brooks should tell him, say, Todd, I was open coming across on a crossing pattern. Look for me again, because he broke wide open on that crossing pattern.
Good point, Dave. Brooks, coming into this ball game, had 32 catches and 4 touchdowns. He has only 2 catches tonight. I am a bit surprised they have not gone to the sensational freshman.
Well, you can see that their offensive scheme has somewhat changed because the pressure is being put on Ellis, but you've got to have that time back there, and if he does, he can find Brooks on the crossing pattern. He was wide open last time.
Ellis is not going to get this pass off. He had everybody coming, led by the walk-on, number 35, Joe Huff. Walt Harris, number 95, also in on the tackle. Now, that has been the style of offense Indiana has played all year long. Aggressive, active, gambling.
Yes, and he backs out. Now, he should see this pressure. Boom. He doesn't see any part of it. And you can see that Huff just barreled in on it. You know, an interesting story about Huff, and I don't know that this is absolutely true, but someone told me that his mother talked the coaches into letting them have a chance to play football at Indiana. And I'll tell you, if Mom can talk that, she could sell real estate to anybody, because he certainly has been a great find for Indianapolis.
Rodney Price out of bounds at the 12-yard line, and that is the final play of the third period. 3 in the books, 1 to go. Indiana's Hoosiers out in front of South Carolina 20-10. Indiana over South Carolina 20-10. The Hoosiers have the football at their own 12-yard line. South Carolina would love to either force a turnover or get the football on a punt. Schnell rolling left on play action, unloads down the field. He's got a receiver. It is caught by Rob Turner, and he may take it all the way.
Tell you the number of times I've watched Schnell make that move where he fakes that play action. It draws the entire defense over, and he comes back out weak side with nobody in front of him. It's almost like a naked reverse, and it has just plenty of time to find his wide receiver downfield. He's done it at least 6 or 8 times and been successful.
Stoyanovich tacks on the point after an 88-yard touchdown strike. Schnell to the speedster, Rob Turner.
And there you see the time that he had, and look at the pass right on the mark. He had Dale Campbell beat terrible on that play. Campbell just couldn't stay with Rob Turner on that long run down the sideline. Again, Schnell with just a great fake action. Right there's the fake action. Now see, everybody on the defense is froze. Now look right here. No worry. A late flurry there by South Carolina to try to put some pressure on, but really no pressure on the quarterback.
A new Liberty Bowl record, 88-yard touchdown pass from Schnell to Turner, the old record. Vince Evans to Ricky Bell of USC. Third quarter statistics.
And again, look at South Carolina's rushing yardage, 9 yards. They have not been able to run the ball at all. They just ought to abandon that totally and go to the passing because they've had no success. Look at the number of yards passing. We knew that coming into the game that Anthony Thompson would have a great game, but look at what Dave Schnell has done, 259 yards passing. Now that's at the end of the third quarter. At the start of the fourth quarter, he now has 347 yards passing.
Indiana overall now with 465 yards of total offense. Oh, there is Rob Turner, and look at this. A new Liberty Bowl record. Most yards gained by a receiver now belongs to that man. 151 yards receiving, and he has done it on only 4 receptions.
And, of course, the record he broke was set just 3 years ago by John Simpson of Baylor with 117 yards. So he's way ahead of him and still has a quarter of a football game to play.
That was back in '85 when Grant Taft brought his Baylor Bears in here to Memphis and won the '85 Liberty Bowl. 14:45 to play in the ball game. Stoyanovich going to wear out that right leg. He lets it sail. It is taken at the 3-yard line. Here comes the freshman Robert Brooks. Spins across the 25 out to the 26 and down there by Mark Berry.
Number 49, Robert Brooks, the ball carrier, taking it at the 4, returning it to his own 26.
Watch the tail end of this play with Campbell here. Thank you. You can see the defensive reaction. I think that's stepping on the ice a little bit, trying to keep the balance, but there's no ice under Rob Turner's feet that play. He just burned him on that play.
And I think Rob Turner only a sophomore. They wondered who is going to take over for Ernie Jones. I think they found a guy. Ellis underthrowing the coverage, has got a receiver. It is Carl Platt, and he is out of bounds at the 29. Terry Saunders chased him out. Well, the scoring drive, I don't even know if you can call that a drive.
A drive? Took him 15 seconds to run 88 yards. We're a little bit slow, but really the 15 seconds was the setup of the play. I think that took about 8 or 9 seconds and 7 seconds to run the 88 yards. But
15 seconds, 88 yards. Carl Lewis, Ben Johnson wouldn't be impressed.
No.
I'll tell you what, Bill Mallory was.
He certainly was. Is that a drive, one play?
What you call a drag race. Ellis comes to the near side. It is caught. Ken Watson, the tight end, out across the 38, near the 39. Brad Money takes him out. Brad Money, number 53, the inside linebacker, suffered a severely bruised thigh in the Illinois game and hobbled for the final 2 games against Michigan State and Purdue. But I tell you what, he has played. Look at that upper body.
Boy, you can tell the linebackers today, they're thick. They're real thick in the upper body. You look at them, it looks like their neck just kind of sprouts out of those shoulder pads. Young man's a big hitter back there. Comes forward and really puts a stick on you.
Is that legal?
That is legal, as long as there's no whistle or yellow flags.
Play action. Ellis looking deep, throws, got a receiver breaking. Oh! Whoa! Carl Platt was open for a split second. By the time the football got there, there were 2 Hoosiers in the neighborhood.
I thought he got hit a little bit early on that play. Let's take another look at it here and see when he gets hit. Now, there's the ball in the air. Oh, boy, that's just perfect timing. That's just good timing. It was close, but I believe it was just good timing.
Andre Hall with the hit with help from Brian DeWitz. There are the quarterback comparisons. Look at Schnell, 347 yards passing. Schnell's previous career best was 316 yards versus Missouri back in 1987. Ellis, there's a backwards pass. It is caught. Across the 42 goes Albert Haynes, still on his feet. Now flags fly at the 44-yard line. Jim Sams, the nose tackle from Union, Iowa, on the tackle.
That may be a face mask against Indiana.
Play number 91, Jim Sams.
That's what the call is going to be. It's going to go against Indiana. We perhaps might see this when he cuts back across the field. He's about 1 block away from going a long way. Now he cuts back across the grain here, tries to pick up a couple blockers. He picks up 1 there, and right there, great picture of the field of the face mask. Again, cutting back against that grain, and you can see just a swipe right back there. There's the face mask penalty.
And it's against the man credited with the tackle, Jim Sams, the nose tackle. 13:23 remaining, clock running. Albert Haynes again. And he will be very, very close to the first down. I believe he got it.
Phil, one of the things that Indiana is willing to do right now is to give you that little short pass. They'll say, just throw that ball you want 4 or 5 yards, take a lot of time, eat up the clock. You know, I want to ask you a question. Now, I know what a gamecock is.
Yeah.
So, and I could explain that.
Yeah.
Can you explain what a Hoosier is?
Well, I'll tell you what. I have it on good authority that Samuel Hoosier, a contractor working on the Ohio Falls Canal back in the 1800s, gave employment preference to people living on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, Dave, and they were referred to as Hoosiers men. It was later shortened to just Hoosiers.
Okay, I'll believe that.
Ellis lets it go, intended for Robert Brooks. Joe Huff, good pressure, though, on Ellis.
Boy, he's heard. I'll tell you one thing, Todd Ellis will see in his dreams tonight, he'll see the front 4. Schlereth, remember him, 54, sacking him 3 times. He's seen Joe Huff in his face 3 or 4 times. He's seen Mike Ferry in there. He's just seen a whole host of red and white.
You know, Dave, I grew up in Big Ten country, and you know, I followed the Indiana Hoosiers for years, and I had always wondered what a Hoosier was. And I did a lot of exhaustive research over the past couple of weeks, and I came across that story, and I wanted to tell it for the benefit of every other Big Ten fan who has always wondered, what in the world is a Hoosier? Ellis with a short drop, throwing down the center of the field on the post pattern. It is in and out of the arms of Carl Platt. Indiana, exceptional downfield coverage tonight.
Boy, how quickly they react. The mark of a defensive back is how quickly you react once the ball is thrown. Now, there the ball is thrown. Now, everyone watch how quickly they converge, and you'll see 3 of them right in the picture converge on the receiver. That's called closing speed. You keep a cushion as you take off on the ball. You keep a cushion. That's the distance between the receiver and the defensive back. But watch how quickly you close back to where the football. See them all close around the South Carolina receiver. They have played. I don't think that Indiana can play better defensively than they have played tonight.
I would agree with that. Schnell. Pardon me. Ellis rolling right. It is intercepted by Indiana. Brian DeWitz has got it. His 3rd interception of the year. He had 2 coming into this ball game. Both came against Purdue. He returned 1 for a 34-yard touchdown. And now the senior from Massillon, Ohio, has interception number 3. It comes with 12:23 remaining in the ball game. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network. 1979, a salute to one of America's greatest heroes, John Wayne. That was the theme of the 21st Liberty Bowl. Penn State beat Tulane 9-6 in the only Liberty Bowl to date where no touchdowns were scored. Penn State winning its 3rd Liberty Bowl.
And Phil, in that Liberty Bowl game, Penn State defense limited Tulane to 0 first downs in rushing, and only 10 in the football game. That was an unbelievable defensive struggle. No touchdowns.
I know that 3rd Penn State victory didn't make you unhappy. There's that slingshot pass Schnell intended for Rob Turner. Boy, what a night Dave Schnell has had. Unbelievable. Take a look at this graphic. Dave Schnell, the senior out of Elkhart, Indiana, tonight, 23.1 yards per completion.
That's every time he throws the ball and completes a pass. It's averaging over 23 yards. On the other side of the thing, the other side of the tote board, Todd Ellis only averaging 9 yards per completion. All his passes have been thrown short.
2nd down and 10. Again, Indiana operating from the multiple I formation. The give is to Anthony Thompson. He is stacked up by Kurt Wilson, a junior nose guard out of Middlesex, New Jersey.
To the ball carrier. Stopped at the line by number 92, Kurt Wilson.
Now we've talked about Indiana. They are going to lose 17 of their 22 starters after this football game. And I'll tell you, Dave, you had better have people ready to step in. And that boils down to recruiting. I'll tell you, a college football coach learns very early in his career that he is a recruiter first and a coach second, isn't he?
You better believe that's the major part of a football game. And, of course, a game with national exposure when your team plays so well, it really helps your recruiting.
Schnell going deep. It is caught again. And once more, guess who? Rob Turner.
I want to tell you something. How he caught this football, you're not going to believe this catch when we look at it again. He splits 2 defenders. He's not even looking back for the ball. At the last second, he looks back for the football. Watch this catch. This is amazing. The timing that he has. Now, right here, he breaks out. Now, look, he's going to split 2 defenders there. And look, at the last second, there's the football. And he almost bobbles it. Has enough to bring it down and steps out of bounds. Gosh, has Snell been unbelievable tonight. Again, watch him here. He's in the slot. You'll see him there in the slot. Now he's going to make the outbreak right here. And look, right between 2 defenders, looks up, and there's the football just perfectly placed. Just can't throw it any better than that.
Anthony Thompson running straight ahead in behind Radke and Jeff Fryer. Coming into this ball game, Dave, Rob Turner, the sophomore from Indianapolis, had averaged 20.5 yards a catch. Tonight, he is averaging 36.8 yards a catch. That is off the scope.
Yes, it is. They don't have a chart for that, I can tell you. It's not many teams that you can even throw 36-yard completions, and he has really been a force. A sophomore again. And I think what Indiana's trying to do right now is get Anthony Thompson that next touchdown so he ties Pete Johnson's record.
That's the fullback, Cal Miller, and he is grabbed as soon as he gets the football by David Taylor. You know, last year in the Peach Bowl, the Big Ten Player of the Year, Ernie Jones of Indiana, caught 7 passes for 150 yards and 1 touchdown. His replacement tonight is Rob Turner. He has 5 catches, 182 yards and a touchdown.
It's 3rd down.
Let's see, if that means that if next year Anthony Thompson's again the Player of the Year in the Big Ten, then the year after that Rob Turner is, Indiana's going to keep a pretty good control on that Player of the Year.
What you call cornering the market on the Player of the Year deal. 10 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in the ball game. Indiana threatening again. Anthony Thompson. And to think, with all the accolades Anthony Thompson has already garnered, and he'll be back next year, he has a younger brother, Ernie, a freshman at Indiana, also a tailback, and he'll be eligible next year.
And a lot of buffaloes on the back of his helmet. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be about 4th down and maybe short. They may have to measure this, Phil. It's awfully close.
You talk all you want about Indiana's great talent. There's one right there, Anthony Thompson. But it all starts with the coaching program. And since Bill Mallory came aboard in 1984, he has certainly turned around the Hoosiers football fortunes. Only coach in Big Ten history, Dave, with back-to-back Coach of the Year honors back in 1986 and 1987. And when you think of some of the coaches in the Big Ten, Woody, Bo Schembechler, Johnny Pond, Duffy Daugherty, Bump Elliott, and to think Bill Mallory, the only one in the history of the Big Ten Conference to win back-to-back Coach of the Year honors. That is saying something.
Well, it certainly is. 4th down an inch. Dad, send heat.
Hello, Columbia. So it's 4th down.
Well, you want me to make a guess on this play? It's 4th down and about an inch. Do you think there's any chance that Anthony Thompson may get the ball? I mean, you know, there's a slight chance. May quarterback sneak, though.
9 minutes and 44 seconds to play in the ball game. It is 4th down and inches. Schnell takes it, and he has got the 1st down and more. It'll be 1st down at the 11.
Oh, there was no doubt when they came up to the line. I would have reconsidered and said definitely a quarterback sneak. When you watch the left guard, excuse me, on that play, it was unbelievable. They split out. They split South Carolina about a yard at the guard spot. Radke split out about a yard on the short yardage, and the quarterback Snell just took the ball, stepped over there, got right behind him, and picked up the 1st down. Safe play. Big line splits there by Indiana have opened up a lot of holes.
Schnell, play action right, comes back to the left side, and he overthrows his tight end, Tim Jordan. Now South Carolina, their only touchdown came on a blocked punt. Mike Tolbert, a backup strong safety for the Gamecocks, picked it up and carried it in. And the Gamecocks' woes on offense continue. They are now into their 28th consecutive quarter, and they've only scored 3 touchdowns offensively in that span.
Well, I can tell you this, they haven't had a good day offensively, obviously, but their defense hasn't quit. They have played a strong football game there. We talked about that big weight advantage that Indiana had, and they've utilized that weight advantage, but this South Carolina team has played hard football.
Thompson to the 8-yard line. Well, Joe Morrison told me down on the field just a few moments before the start of this Liberty Bowl that Al Groh and he are thinking very seriously about going back to the run and shoot in 1989. It's going to be talked about at the conclusion of this season, and I think Carolina football fans will like what they are going to see next year. And quite frankly, they did not have the talent with the graduate losses that took place coming into this year. They had to go to a different offense. But I think the run and shoot will be back. 89. There we go. Touchdown, Indiana. And Anthony Thompson has number 26 on the year. And that touchdown right there ties the Big Ten single-season touchdown record owned by Ohio State's lumbering fullback Pete Johnson.
When you look at that statistic, that is amazing that he has scored 3 touchdowns now in 7 games. 3 touchdowns or more in 7 games.
Wow. Stoyanovich will tack on the point after. He is just a machine. 107 consecutive extra points for Mike Stoyanovich. It comes with 8:31 left of this ball game, and Indiana stretching it out over South Carolina 34-10.
Well, again, we'll see there what he does, what Thompson does is he sees that seam, sees that block, picks up that big block by Radke, and just bursts into the end zone.
Black Rock, Nevada and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Black Rock means land sailing, riding the wind across dry desert lakes. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer, and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place, and Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
Beautiful. Fast? Very quick. As a matter of fact, the guy didn't know what to think. When Mulholland does 4 curves.
While others describe luxury car performance with words like terminal velocity and lateral G-force,
like it's on rails.
Owners of the Acura Legend Coupe tend to be a little less technical.
It's a blast.
To be successful in delivering packages to Europe, Canada, and Japan, it takes a lot more than fast trucks. It takes a knowledgeable worldwide staff, a computerized tracking system, and of course, a fleet of planes that fly there. Insist on all 4. Worldwide service from Federal Express.
Well, Phil, when you talk about scoring drives, you talk about control of the football. 10 plays, they drove 52 yards, nothing fancy, just to keep on running by Thompson. 8 yards for that touchdown run, consumes almost 4 minutes on the clock. That's what Indiana has done so well this season, just control the football on the ground.
Tell you what, you fans around the country who follow NCAA football, don't forget number 32, Anthony Thompson, because he will be around come Heisman Trophy time in 1989. And talking about the Heisman Trophy, Friday night, the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, the Heisman Trophy winner, Barry Sanders, and the Oklahoma State Cowboys will take on the Wyoming Cowboys. Now the crowd of some 39,000 plus in attendance on a very frigid night here in Memphis, Tennessee. And Hoosier fans will unquestionably go back to Indiana, a very, very happy lot, while South Carolinians will wonder what happened again. Their 8th consecutive bowl loss. Robert Brooks carries it up across the 26-yard line. He is knocked silly by Chris McCoy, a 22-yard return. 8:23 remaining in this ball game. The Hoosiers scored on their first possession. In fact, the first time Anthony Thompson touched the football, he went 46 yards, and then a few plays later scored the first touchdown of this ball game. And the Hoosiers have never looked back.
No, they really haven't. They've controlled this football game. Now the Gamecocks, they're fighting. They're still fighting. Little shotgun here by Todd Ellis, trying to get a little bit more time to go downfield.
Still throwing the swing stuff. It is complete. Albert Haynes, the backup tailback, has got it. Mark Ferry takes him down.
See, and that's the kind of pass that they'll give you all night long, that little short swing pass for, what, 1 or 2 yard gain.
Now, Dave and I will announce the fourth player of the game at the conclusion of tonight's Liberty Bowl, so we invite you to stay with us.
And, Phil, that's not a foregone conclusion. Yeah, there's a lot of candidates. I certainly think you have to think of Snell right now. You have to think of
Rob Turner.
I think you have to think of Thompson, 140 yards rushing so far.
And unquestionably, you have to think strongly about the entire defensive unit of Indiana. Pass intended for George Rush, and Mike Dumas was in his face. And it will be very interesting to see how the fortunes might turn in 1989. South Carolina has virtually everybody back at the skilled positions. Indiana loses, as we have documented on a couple of occasions, some 19 of 22 starters offensively and defensively. Boy, that's a bundle to lose.
Well, it certainly is, but when you have a program that continually turns them out, you just wait for that big senior year that you're ready to have.
That's Ken Watson, the tight end. He's got it. Dave, we were talking about recruiting and how important it is. Then when you take a look around, Georgia, for example, spends more than $450,000 just in 1987 recruiting their freshman class. I mean, it is big, big business.
Well, it certainly is. And these coaches take to the roads as soon as the season's over and just try to go out and recruit the high school players that they want. And it's tough because there's a lot of time spent. There's a lot of demands on these coaches and a lot of demands that are put on young high school players, visitations and things like that.
Ellis comes back against the grain. He's got a receiver and overthrows Anthony Parler. But it's not only important to have a great program, a program that is on television an awful lot, like the big schools, Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Penn State. You've got to have somebody who can go out and not only influence the youngster, but it can influence the parents. And certainly I know a man you're familiar with, John Bove, is one of the very best at Penn State.
He certainly is. He's had some great recruits there. Of course, you think of Todd Blackledge and Kenny Jackson and Kurt Warner and Shane Conlon and those players for Penn State. But it takes, you mentioned a little bit of it, and it takes recruiting parents today, because you've got to sell your academics first. That's the #1 thing that you have to sell in a college program. And you have to say to these young people that you're going to get an education. And if professional football comes into play, let it come into play. But #1 thing is we're going to give you an education. And these are 2 fine schools. They offer 2 fine educational programs.
I know one thing, Indiana high schools are turning out a bumper crop of recruits this year, and you can bet Bill Mallory and Fred Akers at Purdue are going to be very busy in the next 2 months trying to convince these prep stars to stay home and play in Indiana. Ellis coming to the near side, throws in and out of the arms of Anthony Parler.
Ellis's pass intended for number 41, Anthony Parler, incomplete. It's 4th down.
Clock stops with 7:01 to play, and the Gamecocks will kick it away.
Well, this ball thrown to Parler. This is an underneath play where you just try to slip underneath the zone, and you can see the ball is just thrown a little bit behind him, but he just drops the football. You know, the cold affects a lot of footballs. The ball is a lot harder when you try to catch it, but it hasn't worked. Maybe Indiana's been a little bit more used to the cold, so to speak.
Tony Buford, a fair catch of Rodney Price's spiraling punt. The Hoosiers will have the ball with 6:53 remaining.
I'd go to college.
Me too.
If I had the money.
Yeah. I'm going to college on the new GI Bill. You serve full-time in the armed forces or part-time in the reserves, and you earn a lot of money for tuition.
The U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Happy holidays from all of us at Angelsoft and Georgia Pacific.
I heard Larry Bird liked well-done steaks, so maybe I'll invite him over for a couple of sirloins. Nice, rare sirloins. I got you, Larry. I got you.
I got a taste for some real food.
Okay, look, I like my steaks very well done. What most people call ruined, I call perfect. I know it's not popular. Now, if I weren't 6'9", I'd catch a lot of flack.
I got a taste for some real food.
Snake River, Wyoming and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. The Snake River means fly fishing for lunker cutthroat trout. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place. An Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
Fellas, it just doesn't get any better than this.
Now the Hoosiers out in front of the Gamecocks by a score of 34-10, and you have to believe with the Gamecocks' inability to get that offensive scoring machine working, they've only scored 3 touchdowns now in the last 28 quarters, Dave, that South Carolina is next year going to go back to what they do best.
Well, I certainly think they should. I think they should go back because they will have the personnel to play that run and shoot offense. And I think that what happened was it was a transition of not only losing personnel, but I think they felt that Todd Ellis could be a better drop-back quarterback. But it looks as if he throws better on the run. He doesn't have to make the long decisions. He can make those quick decisions that the run and shoot would allow him to make, and that may be very effective.
Now Jeff Thornton has come in at quarterback now. We have seen the last of Dave Schnell Thornton, a freshman from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And Thornton has not thrown a pass this year. That tells you how much Schnell has controlled this offense. We talked about not having any injuries. Boy, they didn't have any injuries.
The give is to the third-string fullback, Don Matejko. 12 carries on the year for 80 yards. Well, our Stroh's team must stay first for Indiana. Boy, you had these 3 to perfection.
I don't think you can do it any better than that. Control line of scrimmage, obviously they did that. Pressured Todd Ellis, got him completely out of his game plan. Now, winning the kicking game. I thought the kicking game would play an important part. They did block. South Carolina did block a punt for a touchdown, and they have just done what they had to do to win. Really, they have played very, very well.
To the 29-yard line, a loss of a couple. Give is to Barry Way. He is a junior tailback. He plays behind Anthony Thompson, and it's a good bet. He will probably do a lot of sitting, picking a lot of pine out of his behind in 1989.
Well, when you look at the number of times that Anthony Thompson's carried the football this year, I think that was probably the most unbelievable thing that I've seen all season. Coming into this game, he had carried for 329 times, averaging 30 carries a game. That's unbelievable. First of all, it's unbelievable that you'd get that many opportunities and average 30 carries. Then it's unbelievable that you're that durable and that you don't get hurt all season long carrying the ball that much.
Well, on 4th down and 5, there's a timeout on the field. I believe the officials are talking things over. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
The Inland Empire. Deep snow, shoes suck in mud, icy roads. Now's the time to own a Chevy 4x4. Take the S10 Blazer. Comfortable, practical, and economical, yet with Chevy's shift-on-the-fly Insta-Track feature, you've got a tough 4x4 made to bring you through the toughest conditions old man winter can throw at you. If you've been thinking Ford, come drive a Chevy. You'll have a change of heart.
Today's Chevy truck.
See your Inland Empire Chevrolet dealer today.
Starting now, no appetite is too big for the border. Because now Taco Bell is the one place you can get a lot more for a lot less. Like our original taco, now just 49 cents. All day, all you can eat. Just 49 cents each. So now when it comes to getting your fill without paying the price, nobody beats the border.
Taco Bell at your order. Make a run for the border.
And normally referred to as a Carolina moon, tonight it is a Hoosier moon as Indiana out in front of the Gamecocks 34-10 with 5:07 to play in this ball game. Indiana with the football on 4th down and 5, and to kick it away, Mackie Smith. Fair catch called for by Platt. He's got it at the 31.
Number 18 called by call for and takes fair catch at his own 31-yard line. Gamecocks take possession 1st and 10.
Phil, I'm sure Todd Ellis is going to come back in. As we see him coming back in, it's you can see there that when we talked about the Stroh-Muss for South Carolina, we had to have Todd Ellis off to a quick start. That didn't happen. They were unable to contain Thompson. He just ran at will. And Indiana really did control the tempo of this football game. They were able to drive the football. You remember that first drive? They drove 88 yards and scored, and that just controlled the tempo of the football game. They have allowed South Carolina to run the football with no success other than that play. That'll probably match their total yardage rushing all night.
That was Mike Dingle, the backup fullback, the sophomore from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And he is knocked off his feet by Andre Hall. Gain of 15 yards there. You look at Joe Morris in 14 years in the NFL with the New York Giants. Remember they called him Old Dependable. He wore number 40, and no Giant has worn that number since 1972.
Even I chased him way back in the old days. You're right. Boy, he was Mr. Everything. I think he played 8 or 9 positions while he was a football player for the Giants.
7-time a captain of those Giants ball clubs. He was a halfback, a quarterback. I think he was a flanker. I know he was a tight end and a split, and I think he even played a little strong safety in the pros. He is a class act. I tell you, I think fans in Columbia, South Carolina are very, very fortunate to have him. And I tell you what, they give him another year or two down there, they're going to be rocking that stadium again. 4:26 remaining in the 30th Liberty Bowl. From the shotgun formation, Ellis takes a look to his right, calls for the football, he's got it. And again, he just throws the little swing pass in and out of the arms of Albert Haynes. And, you know, Dave, early in this ball game, that was a pass play way that Ellis and the offensive brain trust of South Carolina went to repeatedly, and they have gone to it all game long. I'm a bit surprised.
Well, one of the things I noticed about Ellis early in doing our so-called charts that we make up for the game is that he has a strong dominance to the right. When I looked at his wide receivers, where he set Brooks out and Platt out to his right and Harold Green as running back, the catches that they had, each one of them had 32, 34 catches, and 32 catches. Then when you look back to his left wide receiver, who's Anthony Parler, only had 10 catches. So he goes a lot to his right. He's very strong, has a strong dominance going back to his right. He doesn't come off that primary receiver well. And again, maybe we can see this play here. And watch 45 come on in there. This is going to be right down the tubes. You can see Todd Ellis, again, just looking to the right, just zeroing in on the right and never coming back off and looking back to the backside. It allows the defense to make adjustments to their left as they face them, and they've picked them off well tonight.
Rodney Price will let it sail. Tony Buford with the fair catch at the 20-yard line. So with 3:39 to play, the Hoosiers will get the football again. We'll be back after this message from your local station. This is the Raycom Sports and Entertainment Network.
Get $1,000 cash back on every new Toyota now at Downtown Toyota. That's right, a $1,000 rebate to use as cash down payment or as cash to take home. You win either way. Choose from over 150 new Toyotas in stock now. Tercels, Camrys, Corollas, four-wheel drive pickups, vans, 4Runners, and more. Buy any new Toyota from Downtown Toyota before the deadline, and the $1,000 rebate is yours. Hurry for best selection at Downtown New, 3rd and Jefferson, Downtown U, 2nd and Howard, Downtown Toyota.
Imagine a warm winter with your new Crossfire pellet stove, the world's #1 pellet burner. Crossfire offers you maximum efficiency. It's simple to operate and can go 2 to 3 days between filling. Safety is one of Crossfire's best selling points. While a stove puts out maximum heat, it retains cool to the outside touch, preventing accidental burns. Match these features with Crossfire's stylish appearance, and you have a winner. Crossfire, available at Falco Stove Shop, East 9310 Sprague.
Indiana University indeed flipped them birds 34-10 with 3:39 to play in this ball game. They have the football out of the I formation. The quarterback is Jeff Thornton. Coming near side on the naked reverse, and guess who stayed home? Number 33. That is Corey Miller, the sophomore right end out of Pageland, South Carolina. In fact, that is not far from Sugarland Mountain. Well, that
boy, you did your history. Next, you're probably going to quote 96 South Carolina, aren't you?
96 South Carolina. You know who lives close to 96 South Carolina? Robert Brooks. He lives 5 miles from 96.
Well, I met a family here from 96 South Carolina today. Yep. And they told me that some Indian princess rode 96 miles on a horse to tell her lover that the Indians were going to attack. Now, that's the story that they told me as I was eating lunch.
Was she kidding?
I don't know.
Look out. That is Barry Way. He is a backup tailback to Anthony Thompson.
He's saying, wait a minute, I'm getting a shot here. I've only had 40 runs all year. I'm getting a shot. I'm going to show somebody that I, too, can carry the football. And he just bursts up the middle, finds that little seam. Nice block there by his up back to seal the linebacker, and then he bursts into the secondary.
I'll tell you, Barry Way prepped at Lawrenceburg High and led that team to a state regional championship back in 1984.
Let me ask you a question now. You know, we talked about pulling out the player of the game. We've got some great candidates, don't we? I right away I think of Thompson with his 100 and some yards rushing. He's been unbelievable rushing.
How about Rob Turner?
Rob Turner with 5 catches for a new bowl record, 182 yards. Snell with 16 to 31 for 378 yards.
How about the defensive 11 for Indiana?
Oh, how about the offensive line? They're the ones that opened up and gave him the time. There's been a lot of them. There's one of them right there. You can see all the Buffaloes he's got on the back of his helmet. Hello there, Dave. How you doing?
Second team all Big Ten this year. Came into this ball game a 53% passer, 1,499 yards, and he's got 387 more tonight. A minute 43 to play. Thornton. His first pass of the ball game, and it is complete. Darrell Eddings culmination of Jeff Thornton's Indiana University career.
Little sophomore coming out here saying, hey, give me a shot. Let me throw the football. Does a nice roll action. Finds his wide receiver out there. Of course, everything has gone right tonight for this Indiana football team. I can't think of one time that they really have made a big mistake, which is, other than that blocked punt, that's the only real glimmer of hope that South Carolina has. They have controlled the game offensively and defensively.
That's Way again. And again, he works his way into the Gamecock defensive secondary.
I heard an interesting story about Anthony Thompson. They said that Walter Payton was his idol. And a summer ago, he worked out for a week with Walter Payton. In the summer of 1987, had a friend of his who was a football player, said, hey, I can get you a chance to work out with Walter Payton. I don't know who rubbed off on who, but I think Anthony Thompson looks a lot like some of the great fullbacks that have played here. I think of Ernie Davis right away, the great Syracuse Heisman Trophy Award winner, and some of the other football players that have played here. He is going to put his name down as another one.
And that may be the last play of this 30th annual Liberty Bowl. Indiana, the first of 5 Big Ten teams to take part in postseason bowl play, and the only favored Big Ten team will win it in a laugher. Well, we are pleased to announce that the Ford player of the game is Indiana quarterback Dave Schnell. And take a look at those numbers. 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 182 of those yards went directly to Rob Turner. What a day and what a night for Bill Mallory. 5 years at Indiana University, his first year 0-11, and what a turnaround as he brings Indiana only its second postseason bowl victory ever. The 1988 Liberty Bowl has been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Stroh's and Stroh-Lite, fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste. By Federal Express with worldwide service to over 100 countries. And by the United States Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. The executive producer of Raycom Sports is Peter M. Rolfe. The telecast of the 1988 Liberty Bowl has been produced by Johnny Tyus, directed by Lonnie Dale, technical director Stacy Smith, our associate producer David Handler. A tremendous night for the Hoosiers of Indiana as they ran away from the Gamecocks of South Carolina 34-10.
Just complete dominance. Turner, unbelievable night. Just a fabulous night. Total offense dominance by the Indiana Hoosiers.
Well, for Dave Rowe, I'm Phil Stone. Thanks for joining us on a very frigid night here, the 30th annual Liberty Bowl. This has been a copyrighted presentation of Raycom Sports and Entertainment.